On today's special episode of Homeworthy, we're touring 3 extraordinary coastal cottages, each brimming with charm, personality, and seaside style. We begin in Dublin, Ireland, inside a vibrant home overflowing with whimsical details, layered floral textiles, and an incredible art collection. Next, we head to the Jersey Shore to explore a cozy cottage with relaxed coastal style and an outdoor space made for family gatherings. And finally, we land in Nantucket, where timeless elegance meets effortless beach charm in a dreamy retreat designed for seaside living. This summer, Homeworthy is proud to support the nonprofit Serious Fun.
Hey volunteers! We need you! To give kids living with serious illnesses a chance to go to camp, just like any other kid. And always at no charge. But we can't do it without you.
People talk about the magic of camp, but the magic is created by the people.
At Serious Fun Camps, no matter what you do best, there's a job you can do here to make memories that will last a lifetime.
It's magical, and it will be the best decision you make to get involved.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hello, Homeworthy. Welcome to Dublin, Ireland, to visiting my home. At last, an audience that I'm not going to bore to death talking about interiors. So come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hello, my name is Jenny Tompkin, and we live in Longford Terrace, which is in Monkstown, a seaside village in County Dublin in Ireland. So we bought this home in 2003. We bought this just before we got married, and we decided that we wanted to do a project. So bit by bit, we did the house up from the bottom to the top at different stages. Welcome to the entry hall, and it's no surprise that the entrance hall really sets the scene for what's to come, and this room really does set the scene. It really has everything that you'll see throughout the house, everything that I love, all the pieces in the colour and the mirrors and the ceramics, sculpture, art, plants. It has everything that you'll see throughout the house. So the entry hall, I mean, I suppose I didn't have any idea. It's just evolved. It's just evolved as passion has come into play in again what I'm drawn to and what I love. And this was just another room where I could express all of that. So the wallpaper, it's Charlotte Gaisford wallpaper. She's a UK designer, absolutely beautiful pieces, beautiful patterns and colours. As you can see, this is one of them. I saw it, I loved it, and decided I needed it in the house. So the hallway seemed like a really good place to have it. Again, setting the scene with the drama that is in it, and that's paired with Farrow & Ball French Grey, which I think highlights it nicely. A lot of this art I found through a dealer called Dee Fahey, who owns a shop just down the road, and a furniture shop, a collector's shop, and as I said, she's a dealer as well. And talk about meeting my soulmate in interiors and in art and sculpture, and she is it. Whatever she finds and has, I tend to love, and so I have quite a bit from her. So a lot of the art came from her shop, which she sourced. I love the depth to them. I love the colour, the moodiness. And again, I talk about keeping things sort of collections together, so it's not too chaotic for the eye. And for me, these sort of work well, sit well together, and yet individually are beautiful pieces, and as a collective piece, I think work very well. The sculptures here, I mean, I didn't mean to have 3 of them, but I started with, this is bog oak. It's called the seal. It's 5,000 years old, and that's where the sculpture started. I think it's just a very beautiful piece full of history and personality. And then I stumbled across the other pieces naturally and over time. This is a 1960s piece. It just spoke to me, and again, this was one of Dee's finds, who had it in her shop, sourced it, and fell in love with it and had to have it. And this probably is my favourite piece. These beautiful, graceful ballet dancers, and what a perfect position for them to be in the entrance hall, where, you know, as soon as I arrive to the home, I'm seeing what I love, and this being one of my very favourite. This piece is an interesting one. It's an 19th century, it's called a nursing chair. So in the Victorian days, placed very low so that women with corsets didn't have to bend down to talk to their children, that they would just be able to sit very straight with their corsets and didn't have to bend over to converse with the children. So I love the idea of that, and even more so because it's in this beautiful floral fabric, which drew me to it more than the story, but I like the story that goes with it. This table was my grandfather's. It's a Robert Stratton piece, which originated in 1740, believe it or not, in Dublin, the city centre, and he made high-end furniture, and I think it's still going to the 1960s. So this is a Stratton piece, and was my grandfather's in his hall. So again, I remember it as a child. It brings back lovely memories, and it's just a beautifully crafted piece, which I'm delighted to have here. The use of mirrors. I love mirrors. I think that they're pieces of art in themselves. I think they bounce around light. They reflect things. So even when I'm here, I can see the beautiful mirror, I can see all this, and hey, I get to see my beautiful paintings as well, all from the one viewpoint. So again, you'll see that throughout the house. I use mirrors quite a bit in my interiors, for the many reasons that I pointed out. Plants, oh my goodness, we have the most fabulous plant shop, lifestyle shop around the corner from here called Howard and Mays. It's a place that I go and visit and chat to them there, even when I'm not buying a plant, but I normally end up buying plants when I'm there. So again, dotted throughout the house, there's quite a lot of plants, which is from there, and these two in particular. And you know, they work, and you need to look after them, but I love the green and the naturalness of plants in a house and in rooms, and you'll see more of that. So what drew us to this house was the period features, the elegance of it, the beauty of the outside and the inside, all the original features. A house like this, it doesn't really matter what you put into it, because the beauty of it, without anything, stands by itself. So it was a very easy house to fall in love with. And South County Dublin, I grew up down the road, so it felt a very natural place to settle down and have a family. I've always lived beside the sea, so again, we were so lucky that this is just on the seafront, so it felt like home. When we bought the house, we had, there was a lot of renovations that we did, but we did it up sort of piecemeal. So we started with this level. The kitchen was in a very small room down the back, so we brought the kitchen into this level, into this room here, made it more part of the house. And then we did up the next floor, where we had to put bathrooms in and take away studded walls and ceilings that were brought down, and pipes that had to be put back behind into the attic and that sort of thing. So we did quite a bit of work, but as I said, it was done in 2-3 different stages. So coming in from the hall, I'm going to bring you into what is the cloakroom. It's the bathroom, but done up very much, some might think is a sitting room-like room, but I see every room as an excuse to decorate with all the things that I love and make me happy. So this is, as I said, I mean, it is essentially a bathroom, but we have put all our coats and shoes here. So it's a very well functioning and well worn room. The wallpaper is JP and Baker, and it's a chinoiserie type with birds and florals, and it's pink and green, my favorite color combination, as you can guess from this room. I love chinoiserie. I just think that the florals and the prettiness and the colors, they're just right at my street, and so you'll see plenty of chinoiserie themed pieces in the house, and this is no exception. A view from a loo, as this is, and I see every moment in the house to be a moment, and so sitting on a loo should be no exception, where you can see this beautiful antique rose painting, and my love of orchids, which seem to last here without you having to do very much to them and look very beautiful, and again bought from, gives me more excuses to go around the corner to Howard and Mays, where I can have a chat and buy an orchid or 10 as the case might be. I love Famille Rose, and this is Famille Rose Pattern, a Chinese. The Famille Rose, I just love this piece in its size and the colours, again the pinks and the greens, and I just think it's very beautiful there. Maybe not very practical, but it's certainly there to be admired, which it is. And likewise with this piece here, again Famille Rose, and that's quite an old piece, and I love that you can see it when you come in through the front door. You look right through to this piece and beyond to the garden. So again, it's giving me joy as soon as I walk into the house to have this viewpoint. Rugs, I have a huge love of rugs. I think, again, another way to add colour and texture to a room, and you'll see them dotted around. And I love that it's blue. Everything else is pink and green, and yet I have this blue rug, but you know, to me it works, and I love it. These antique plates, a set of 6 in garden florals. Miraculously, I got them on the wall without use of any sort of measuring tape, but I think they're fairly in line with one another and not too many holes behind them. And again, I just think they're beautiful and go very well with the room, and again, giving you a moment and a point of interest after you're washing your hands and leaving the room. And all of this, I will not open it. Everything has been shoved in for today. But this is very practical. And as I said, this is a working house and a working room. And this room is, to me, it's very beautiful, but it's also very well functioning. My personal style is exactly that. It's my personal style, and it doesn't fit. I don't want it to fit into anything. I don't want it to generalize it, in that it is just my style, and it is what we're going to see around the house. I love maximalism. I love floral. I love colors. I love pattern. Follow no rules. I just see something, I like it, and I know it's going to work. I really buy everything and have everything in this house that I love. That's what it's all about, because I think if that's what's in your house, it's always going to work, and it's always going to fit with all the other pieces that you acquire throughout the years. So the premise really of everything here is just things that I love. And that's why I think it works, because there's a common theme throughout, which is the stuff that, as I said, I really like. So take, for example, the colours, the pinks and the greens, the ceramics, the patterns, the floral fabrics, the rugs. There's a common theme throughout, but as I said, it's all based on what I am just drawn to from the inside. So let's go into the kitchen and the sitting room, where we spend a lot of our time, and follow me. So just coming in now into the kitchen and the sitting room, and I just want to say a little bit about this area here and about hanging art. Art doesn't have to go on walls. Who said art had to go on walls? Art can be anywhere that you have a good viewpoint of it. that, and I've run out of wall space, so I had to think creatively, and this is my thinking creatively. I absolutely love this piece, and to make it look a little less like it's being put into a corner for lack of anywhere else to hang it, I have from again Dee in Vintiques. Her husband Dave makes these fantastic wooden stands, and so it looks like now that it's meant to be there. And to be honest, being there is just perfect. It's better than a wall because it gives me the viewpoint that coming down the stairs I see it, as I'm walking through I see it. So as well as on the walls, this is a really good place for art in my view to be. Likewise, high up over doorways. So again, coming down the stairs, I get a great viewpoint of this piece, which I might not get if it's at eye line, where, you know, the typical place to hang art. So again, it's about thinking creatively, and outside the box, and remembering that there aren't any rules. So whatever works for you, well, it works. So come on into the kitchen. So this is the kitchen, where we obviously spend an awful lot of time. Not always looking quite this neat, but for the purpose of Homeworthy, it's been cleaned up quite a bit. And again, it just demonstrates, I suppose, everything that I love in this house. It has any chance I get, I've added some colour, I've added florals, I've added fabrics, ceramics, paintings. It's got, I've kept the background to, I mean, this kitchen is old. I think it's probably about 15 years old, if not even older. We've obviously repainted it and done work to it over time, but the core of it is still the same. And it's quite a neutral kitchen, so which allows, I think, again, not overwhelming the eye for me to go a bit nuts everywhere else, because it's a cream finish. And marble worktops, I think we purposely did, which reflects the light beautifully, and allowed me then to go crazy with everything else, which is exactly what I've done. So the wall colour it's a pink, again, my love of pink, but it's a very subtle pink. It's China Clay by Little Green. I think it's a really subtle neutral, and it's warm, and it gives off a different glow in the evening time compared to the daytime, which is just lovely for interest. Again, another love of mine, so we have the artwork, we have the rugs, I've talked about the mirrors, well, plates is another one. All sorts of plates, the florals and birds and Victorian and Chinese and Japanese. So I have collections everywhere, particularly over here, over the archway here, another place to put my love of ceramics in this display here. I love that this is just full of colour, very practical, but a beauty to look at. I've never really understood plain ceramics or plain porcelain. It should always be like this in my view, and so there's not a plain mug in sight, but what a delight to get out a cup for the day, or however many are taken out, quite a lot with the amount of children in and out of this. So you can see that I have a love for a lot of things, and I suppose the way I try and keep that in some sort of restrictive way, so it's not too overwhelming in my view, is I group things, and I think that's a very good way of having a love for certain objects which you feel like you need to have a lot of. If you put them together, they are a bit more subtle. So you can see that in my use of plates. I have them grouped together here. So you're seeing one whole rather than all the individual ones dotted throughout. So they're much more impact. And likewise here, they're all together. So again, I'm allowing myself to display all my individual plates, but as a mass, it doesn't look, I hope, like it's sort of chaotic. I don't do anything small. So certainly 2 or 3 hydrangeas was never going to be enough. So this is stuffed full. I mean, it is literally stuffed full. I think some of it doesn't even fit into this old Chinese jug. So it's very much a centerpiece, and full of dried flowers and twigs. I love dried flowers. I think you can get so much out of dried flowers without using fake flowers. It's much more natural. And then you can see my whole display. I love mantelpieces. It's a great place to put all the things that you love. So you can see the ceramics and the plants. And then some of the whimsy too, like these guys here. I bought these a long time ago, and we lived in Donegal in Ireland, and I just love these. So they're a bit whimsy and a bit fun, and bring great joy. The children's artwork, obviously, that changes all the time, and is a lovely place to put up all their pieces, just adding to the chaos and the fun and the brightness of the room. So am I a collector? I mean, yes, I'm a collector. I suppose I don't set out to be, but it's just, again, it's just something that comes natural to me. I like having things around me that I enjoy looking at, and that I enjoy going into each room and seeing the different things that I have here that bring me great joy. And I suppose that has amounted to a lot of collections of various different things in the house. I've also inherited a lot of things, so a lot of things have meaning that have come from the past, that again I can look at on a daily basis, and it brings back wonderful memories. So I suppose, yes, that I'm a collector, but I don't like to see myself as that, in the sense that I fill the house with things that I love and that bring me joy. And that's why there's an awful lot of it, because I like that feeling in my home. Yeah. My go-to design tip is, gosh, there's probably lots of them. First of all, there's no rules. It's simple as that. There are no rules. The beauty of interiors, the beauty of showcasing one's home, having people in, is that, and doing a program like this, is that it doesn't actually matter whether you like it or hate it, because there's no right or wrong. I absolutely love it. And so to me, it all works, but to you, it might not. But as I said, it's an art form, and what one person loves, another person will hate, and that's okay. And I suppose that's part of the reason that I'm confident enough to sit here for Homeworthy and have everyone judge this house, is because actually it just doesn't matter. That's what it is. It's art, and there's no rules, and you know, you just have what you love in your home, and it's going to work. It's going to work for you and your family, and that's all it needs to work for. And this does, for the most part. I think some of my family might like me to tone it down a bit, but they tolerate it, knowing how important it is to me. But just off the kitchen then is our sitting room. And the two rooms are very interconnected, in the sense that you go from one room to the other and the flow is very easy, sometimes too easy. I often do think about, well, actually what I'd love to do is hang heavy curtains here, again floral and colourful, to close off when we want to, but my husband has absolutely said no to that idea for now. So at the moment they're very interconnected room, and it does work well. And again, you can see the array of everything in this room, and I'm sure to many it's way too much, and there is, you know, too much of everything, but for me it's just wonderful. It's a wonderful, uplifting, warm, comforting room that just, you know, brings me joy. A wonderful, cozy, comfy couch, an essential to me in every sitting room. We've had this couch since my daughter's 19, and it came into the house the day before she was born. Now, we've had some work done to it over the time, but it is just a wonderfully comfortable couch, a well-used couch. I love the idea of a fleece blanket, soft and cozy and warm, on the cushions of a couch, which you can plonk yourself down on. And as I said, it's really warm and soft. And this being a place where I would lie quite a bit, and this is one of my favourite viewpoints in this room. I just love this vignette. That is, the painting is called Mackerel on a Table. It's an artist called Padder, I can't remember his surname, but we bought it at an arts exhibition in County Donegal. I think actually he had won a prize for this piece. And I just love the again, actually, this one is about stillness and calmness, and not very unlike a lot of my other artwork that I've collected. But I love it with the green plant and the floral lampshade and the birds there. The whole vignette here just makes me very happy. And as I said, often a moment is spent lying on the couch looking at it and admiring it. You'll see again, another mantelpiece and another excuse to display all the pieces that I enjoy, and nothing again done by halves, in that 2 or 3 hydrangeas would absolutely not have been enough, nor would one piece of Famille Rose porcelain. As you can see, I have many here. This beautiful piece came from Norman, who owns an antique shop called the Treasure Chest in Blackrock, again, just up the road. A lot of my purchases are quite local. And it's a beautiful Famille Rose vase that was made into a light. And then we have a pooky shade. I love shades. I think that I don't get plain shades. I think shades are a wonderful way to add fabric and colour to a room and to showcase off a lamp base. So all my shades are colourful and patterned. So again, you'll see that I have a whole array of art here as well. And I mean, I wouldn't even want to count all the pieces, because I would feel that would shock me into how much I have. But I think you don't see that because I've kind of grouped them together. So they're birds and florals. And because then they're more like a collection, they're easier to view without it being too busy, because there's a common theme. And I think that's why it essentially works to have so many pieces in one place, because, as I said, they follow a theme. The mirror was my grandparents', and I love it in its distressed state. We've never had it repaired, because I plan on keeping it like that. That's how it came to us. That's how I remember it in my grandparents' house. And that's the beauty of antiques, is that actually the more wrecked they are, I think the more beautiful they are. And that's an exact example of that. This is an old house. I mean, it's 1840s, and one could have done it up in a very old way, full of antiques. And but actually, and again, this isn't something I set out to do. It's just what came naturally to me, following my heart. And my love, as I said, with Carmel Marinan, with one of the first pieces I bought from her, this being it, which is the one where, as I said, I was driving by, minding my own business, and there it is in the window, which I immediately, it spoke to me. It called me in to buy it, and a relationship followed with Carmel after that, and I bought many of her pieces. But I really love the fact that the wall is just light and alive, of colour and personality, each one just drawing me in, telling me a story. I call this actually my wall of happiness, and in fact my floor of happiness too, going back to the fact that art can be hung anywhere. It just needs to be somewhere where you can see it and admire it, and all these pieces do exactly that. This is the latest piece from Adrian Finishy. She's an artist in Galway, and again, a most wonderful use of colour. And if you look at it from afar, you can see it's looking through a window onto a boat scene. And actually, I told her just recently, she didn't realise this, the gold in it, the gold paint actually lights up at night time. It's just fabulous to see it at night time. So I've got almost like 2 pieces of art in one, which I'm delighted with. These 2 by Carmel Marinan. Again, you'll see many of her art. She is just talented and wonderful, and I am such a fan. Her pieces are beautiful. Some of these pieces here are really for my eyes only. Because my husband doesn't like them very much. So I've tucked them into corners where I know they are and I can enjoy them. But he doesn't know they're there and doesn't need to see them as he wishes. But as I said, I love them. We have this lovely little vignette here, which often a phone call is taken over in this corner to try and hide away from things and the busyness. A lovely place to look over the sea. Again, any excuse for a pattern and colour. So like this ceramic stool, which I've used as a table. So rather than having just a plain wooden marble type table, I have one that has got birds and flowers, and really any excuse, as I said, I will use to put florals and colours into. And then you'll see all the TV, which I unapologetically, we watch TV, we like TV and we don't hide it, so there it is in all its glory. But above it is again all the pieces that I've collected over time, which I hope are put together in some sort of organised way, and you know, speak to me because of the pattern and the colours and the florals, which all of these pieces have, with some books interspersed in between. So the house works very well for us in the sense that it's a large house, and as I said, we have a family of there's 8 of us here. So we have different sections in the sense that the kids, there's a basement, so that's sort of the kids' hangout area. And then this is the main thoroughfare, the kitchen being like everyone else's kitchen, the heart of the home. And then we have another room upstairs where I can work and get away from everyone, and my husband too if need be. But it's a very open house. People come and go. All the rooms are used. When we first moved in and the kids were much younger, the rooms weren't used as much upstairs, and we thought, oh gosh, is this going to work when we have all this space upstairs and no one's going up there? But now they're all much older and some teenagers, and so we use every part of the house, which I love. Everyone feels at home anywhere. There's no off limits here, and yeah, it's a lovely family home. I always think to myself when I'm going up and down the stairs, there's always someone I'm meeting either coming down or coming up on the way, and that's lovely, and that's the way a home should be, busy and lively and yeah, full of life. So I love most about this home, oh gosh, I mean, from the moment I walk in, I look around and I just see all my things that I just bring me joy. It makes me happy. It's like that big hug when you walk in. That's what this home does to me. And that's a special thing to have in one's life, and I'm very fortunate to have that. So the house was built in 1840s, part of the terrace. It's called Longford Terrace. It's Italianette and Victorian in style. So again, it features all the wonderful ornate cornicing and stained glass and fireplaces, period fireplaces. So it's very elaborate. And we're very lucky to have a back garden as well, which is the perfect size for someone like me who didn't know that they were going to see a garden as another room to accessorize and to make into a space that again brings so much joy. But I discovered the garden, and I'm busy away now making that into another space like I did any room in this house. But it's the perfect size. It's really manageable. It's south facing, and it's again another lovely space to add to what we already have on the inside. So just walking into, well, the garden room, but it's not really a garden room. It's actually a utility room and a dog's room, but I think garden room sets the tone much better. Beautiful sun-filled room leading out to the garden. I want to point out just the ceiling, which I recently wallpapered again, seeing now a 5th wall in the ceiling and something to do something with. I particularly love it because actually if you walk up the stairs from the basement, you can actually get a real view of the ceiling, which is very pleasing. This is a very special piece here, again by my soulmate in interiors who sourced it, a very old, actually I'm not sure what it is. It's sort of an Indian piece on canvas. It's wrecked, it's got holes in it. I don't know much about it, except that all I need to know is that I love it, and I had to have it. It is just beautiful, and as I said, Dee, who is just can see my soul into what I love, and sources these things, and they end up in my house. Don't know how that happens, but they do. And then love of blue and white ceramics, again, talking about collecting things and putting them together, so they're all they look less, there's less of them, I think, when they're placed like that. And yet I can appreciate every one of them. And then collectively, always an excuse for a chair and a footstool. Footstools are my thing, where I will, anything that I can reupholster in a glorious fabric, I do. So let me take you into the garden, which really took me by surprise. Gardening, I didn't really see it as being part of my love, as I might say. And yet here it is. It is an absolute excuse to decorate and as an extension of the home. It's another room as I see it. So needless to say, me and the garden get on very well, and I have turned it into this space, which is probably more formal than the rest of the house. And it doesn't use a lot of materials, unlike the rest of the house. It is actually quite matching, but it's I think appropriate. It feels appropriate to the size and to the nature of the house. We got very excited. We had a beautiful spell of weather recently, so we all thought it was summer. Being in Ireland, you've got to catch the rays when you can. I bought a whole load of geraniums, planted them, and then promptly it rained and became very cold. So they are not blooming the way I'd hoped they would. But if you can imagine this all in pink, and again, unlike the rest of the house, the garden, as I said, is a bit more formal, a bit more sedate, and so the same colours predominate in the sense that they're pinks and purples. There's not a huge array of colour, so it's slightly different. Again, also saying that you can follow different themes throughout your home, and that doesn't matter. If it works for you, well, then it works. Follow me to the basement of our house, which is where, well, we all hang out, but the kids hang out mostly with their friends. I'll stop you here, though, again, another moment, which displays a lot of my artwork and some more whimsy pieces. I've used here a very bright, patterned, modern, in fact, carpet going down to the basement, which sort of sets the tone for what's to come. So the pieces that I found myself really drawn to, without in any way knowing that I would be, came about. So artwork, large artwork, abstract artwork, colourful artwork. And how that came about was very innocently driving the kids to the tennis club and passing just in the village here around the corner a gallery called the Lime Tree Gallery. And as I said, minding my own business in the car, and I looked to my right, and there is this most amazing picture in the window, which nearly made me crash. I was so drawn to it. Anyway, got the kids to the tennis club safely, then went back, immediately pulled in and had lots of stuff on, but none of that mattered, and walked into this gallery to see that piece of art that just took my breath away, as I said, from a glimpse of being in the car driving by it. And yeah, it just rolled from there. I immediately met, the artist was there, Carmel Marinan, and we had a great chat about the piece. I could just see into the depths of it, and she was there to tell me where it originated from as well. And bought it, brought it home pretty much straight away, hung it on the wall. And from there on, it began. All the pieces now that I have accumulated all follow that sort of bright, colourful, large pieces, which just liven up the walls. And I love the juxtaposition between the modern and the old. So this is a really old house, but I've got the modern bright pieces of art, which sort of make the house a little bit more modern, and add a touch of flair and interest, and give me great joy. And it all started that I had no idea I was into art until that day that I drove by and saw this piece in the window, which just called me to come in and buy it. And the love affair of art started with many of Carmel's pieces, in fact. So to her, I am forever grateful for introducing me into the world of art. I often hear about people buying art to go with things. Oh my goodness. I don't understand that. I would never factor in a piece of art, or actually anything that might go with something else. And again, my sister would have always talked about that. Pieces that match or that need to fit in, or no. You just buy something if you love it. It doesn't matter. And as I said, there's a common theme. If you love it, it'll work, because your whole house is full of that stuff which follows a common theme. So it's going to work. But yeah, a pet definitely is people saying that I bought this piece of art because actually it's got that little hint of pink, which will go with my hint of pink in a cushion. No, none of my art is bought because it matched or went or fitted in with something. So we're just walking into the basement of the house. This is a hangout area for the kids, but we all use it. It's fun. I think that's the word to describe it. Very different from the rest of the house, but again, there are no rules. This is what felt natural to this part of the house. There's colour though, and patterns and lights of all different varieties, quite literally. Well, sorry, I should point out the swing, which is a family tradition. All the children in my family, my brother and my sister, would have had swings in their house, and I grew up with a swing in our family home, and it is a proper swing. It's such fun. So the kids, absolutely, there can sometimes be 3 or 4 children hanging out of this, not so many adults. So that's definitely a centerpiece in this room. Looking at the rugs here, rugs are a really good way to fill a wall with large pieces, bright, colourful pieces, or whatever sort of pieces that you want. But it can often be a very inexpensive way. So like these would never have been that great on the floor, but actually work really well on the wall. And yeah, they're just really good fun. This is a funny story. This chair, Kira, who owns the Blue Door again around the corner, had this displayed in her window. And another drive-by, I don't know how I tend to find myself in these drive-by situations. It was in her window. I was driving by, saw it. I think it's JP and Baker fabric as well, and had to have it. So didn't even go in to see it. I dialed her on the car phone, asked her what was this piece and how could I have it. And she said that it was to show off the fabric, but absolutely, of course, I could have it if I wanted to buy it from her. And I said, yes, I wanted to buy it from her. And didn't actually, so the deal was done. I then went in the next day to the shop to collect the chair. I had no idea it was this size, because it's actually a rather big chair from my car on the road, quite some distance away in the window of the shop. It didn't look quite that big. So sadly, there's absolutely nowhere to put this chair. It doesn't fit in any of the rooms. So it is down here and enjoyed by, well, or not enjoyed by all the children, but I'll come down and visit it every now and then. And one day we'll have it somewhere else in the house. Again, you can see the total mismatch of furniture, of colours, and the fabulous, the one piece of wallpaper, the fish wallpaper. Again, a very whimsy. I love whimsy. I think that it adds interest. It gives you that surprise element, and that's what that wallpaper does. It's just fun, and that's what this room is all about. This is a very boring IKEA TV unit, but I painted the top of it orange just to give it a bit of a zing. Obviously I was never going to have a plain white piece in this room, so hence the touch of orange, which I think magics it up brilliantly. So these hearts, very unique because they were handmade by my sister, who was an artist, and her friend Morgan, who works with metal, and they made these into heart shapes, which I then put fairy lights around, and they're just wonderful. They give off such a glow, and they're so different, and again adding a whimsy element to the room and to this space. I also want to point out the gym area. Gym might be a bit far-fetched, but a few weights and a bike, but it is where my husband does his training, and it really is, that's his spot, and the whole entire house that's his little square corner of it, which I'm not allowed at all to interfere in. I mean, I'd love to obviously push down a few more rugs there and something on the radiator and maybe something in between the mirrors, but I've been told to stay away. And so I've done that. So again, but showing that the room really is used in so many ways, like the rest of the house, that all the rooms are used in different ways and have different functions to suit everyone's need. So coming to the first floor landing, providing another lovely moment in the house, greeted by this wonderful fish sculpture, which I just adore in its simplicity and beauty. And then obviously a few other sculptures to add, which I've accumulated over time. Artwork, again, all the beautiful, colourful, big pieces of art. Again, Carmel Marion did that one. And this beauty here, which I just love. I love the pop of orange that you get there with this painting. And then you've got the more classical floral pieces in these two French armchairs, which provide a lovely spot to just sit. Well, I mean, sit, that doesn't happen that often in this house with so much coming and going, but in theory, it will be a lovely spot where you can sit and enjoy the sun on your back and look at the beauty of all the pieces that I have accumulated over the time. You see again my love of ceramics, and again collecting and putting these pieces together in a collection, which allows you to see the beauty of the pieces individually and then together as a group. So let me bring you upstairs now to another sitting room known as the drawing room, but it's essentially another TV room and where myself and my husband also work from. So come on up and I'll show you. So welcome to our drawing room, which is another TV room essentially. This is where I tend to come and escape because there aren't quite as many people who make it up to this floor from the kitchen area, so you can get a moment on your own. I also work here, as does my husband, and I mean, it is just a beautiful, stunning room without anything in it. You can see the beautiful, the square, the rectangularness of it, the cornicing, the ceiling rose, the original wooden floor. So it's got the makings of a wonderful room, and then for me enhanced by all my pieces. In this room I have a lot of inherited pieces. So this bookcase here was my grandparents. They lived in a large Gothic house in Shankill, and this piece was in my grandfather's study. And as a child, I would often go to it, and all the children's encyclopedias up there, I would source for all my school projects from those books. So I have wonderful memories, and the smell that comes from it now of the oldness and just evokes all those wonderful memories. And luckily my siblings didn't have anywhere to put this bookcase because of the size, and we bought a house which facilitated it perfectly. So I am the very lucky minder of this piece. So another inherited piece is this beautiful Victorian beautifully etched display cabinet, which my grandmother, she loved going to auction houses, so I'm sure that's somewhere where I got it from too. This is a very beautiful piece, and again, I'm so lucky to have it to display then all the pieces that I've collected throughout the years, some inherited and some collected by myself. So I suppose this in the Victorian times was what's known as the drawing room, a very formal room which they would have used to entertain in and show off in as such, because you can see this with the beautiful cornicing and the ceiling rose and the very grand fireplace. So I mean, without putting anything in this room, it's a beautiful room with the three very gracious windows that we're lucky enough to be able to have wonderful views from of the sea and the boats. And when I'm not working, you will often find me hiding away on the couch here. And if you lie down on the couch, you get a wonderful view, as you can see now, of all the boats out in the water. Again, just so lucky to have this to call my own. So what gives a home a soul? What makes it come alive? I mean, it's the family, it's the people. There's absolutely no denying that. It's the coming and going, it's the everyday life, it's family life. But what adds to that, and is very much as important a part is, for me anyhow, is the interiors and the feeling that you get when you're inside the home. And that feeling comes from the family and the people who are in it, but it also comes from how the house is, how the interiors are, and how it's full of things that means something to me and to the other family members. Everything has a story. There's a personality, there's a soul, and I think that all creates a sense of warmth and of love, because, as I said, this home is full of things that I love and cherish and enjoy, and I think that exudes when you're walking around the home. So yeah, that's very much sort of the essence of my family home. When we bought this house initially, I think I had no idea what my taste was and what I liked and didn't like. And you'll see from the tour that a lot of the couches were white, because white just, or beige, because that felt completely safe. But I think interior design has been in my family, the love of design and the love of architecture for quite some time. My parents actually built their own house on the land of my grandparents' house in Shankill, which is in County Dublin. And so they were very much into architecture by doing that. And my own sister, who sadly passed away a few years ago, but she was very much into interiors. She had wonderful ideas in her house. She used to question everything that, you know, nobody questions. So like curtains either side of the window, well, she would ask, why did they need to be the same? And she's right. Why did they need to be the same? So she would have one pattern curtain on one side of a window, and then on the same window, but the other side, a different pattern, because why not? She wants to look at two different patterns. So she sort of questioned a lot of things that nobody else did, and she was full of colour and full of life and pattern and fabrics and florals. And so I used to go to her house. I was beige and she was colour. And she would always laugh at me and criticise me for my lack of personality in the home. And I would always go to her house and walk away thinking, oh my God, I couldn't have that, what she had in my house, all the stuff going on. But bit by bit, and mostly I think after she passed away, that sense of personality and love for all the things that you like in interiors, the things that mean something to you, began to grow. It sort of, I always say, sort of something set a light inside me that I suddenly realized, oh my gosh, I now know what she was talking about, that, you know, you put into your home whatever you want, whatever you love. You don't need to have, there's no sense of style that you need to take on board. It comes from within. And all the things that she used to like began to grow within this house. As I said, the mismatch of colours and patterns and ceramics and glassware and rugs and all of that sort of thing grew, I think, from her. But I think it was in there somewhere, and it just came alight, as I said, from my visits to her home and then after she passed away. So let's go into our bedroom in the house on the top floor. Before we do so, again, I just wanted to point out these beautiful old tapestries. This one is a French tapestry bought in an antique shop just outside of Paris, and it's one of my favorite pieces. It's just a wonderful piece that is steeped with history, and I love taking a moment to enjoy it. So welcome to our bedroom. Now this is the dressing room part of our bedroom. We're very lucky to have this separate space. And as you walk in, you can see right out to the sea the views of Dublin Bay, which is a great starting point. So this is the area where we have the wardrobes and our clothes. It's an area where we do a bit of work at that desk there. And it's an area which has given me a great excuse to, again, hang all the things, or have all the things that I love, all the rugs and the floral paintings, the chinoiserie pieces, the lamps, the beautiful lampshades, this beautiful dresser, which is a bamboo dresser with a chinoiserie ingrained top to it, and again housing a lot of my ceramics and porcelains. And then bringing you into the bedroom area. And this room is really where I pinch myself, not quite believing that this is mine, and that I get into bed and I have this view of, as I said, Dublin Bay, which at night time looks like a Christmas tree with all the lights sprinkling and sparkling, and during the day you get the different colours of the sea. So it's a wonderful spot to be in, and again surrounded by what we've seen to date in the house. It's my ceramics and my artwork, chinoiserie screen, floral fabrics and rugs, dried flowers. This is just a wonderful combination of everything I love in interiors, and it's all in here. So I love this moment here, which again, when I'm lying in bed, not only do I get to look out at the sea, but I can also look across at this beautiful ornate fireplace original to the house, and another mantelpiece to decorate, with this beautiful Italianette mirror, and this stunning piece of fabric which I got framed. It's an Indian silk piece with peacocks and flowers, and it glistens in the evening light. It's a real beauty. Another moment to have a seat and to take it all in. So the room is full of everything that I love and enjoy, and very much treasure in our bedroom. So what does home mean to me? I suppose home is everything that everyone else talks about when asked what does home mean. That it is a warm, welcoming space. It brings comfort, joy, that warm hug feeling when you walk in the front door. And home to me my home does all of that for me. But what it also does for me, it gives me that little bit of magic, that when you're here, suddenly everything's okay. Everything feels right. Everything feels joyful. Which is a bit of magic, because sometimes when you're outside the home, things aren't quite as good. And then you walk in here and suddenly everything's all right with the world. And I'm really lucky that my home does that for me. So goodbye, Homeworthy. It was such a pleasure having you here. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm so glad you made it to Dublin, Ireland to see my home. Bye-bye.
Hi Homeworthy, my name is Hillary. Welcome to my house in Brielle, New Jersey. Come on in, I'd love to show you around.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
My name is Hillary Decker Seitz, and I am the owner and founder of Fig Home Co., which is a home decor shop with interior design services in Manasquan, New Jersey. And you are at my home at the beautiful New Jersey shore. My husband and son and I have been living in our home for 5 years. We purchased a home in 2020. We lived in a small town a neighboring town called Manasquan, which is a Victorian town. And we wanted a little bit more space. We wanted a little bit more property. We dreamed of having a pool one day. So in 2020, this house came up. We had known about the house. It's a lovely little lane that we walk often. My mother lives nearby. There's a little yacht club at the end of the street, which we're involved with. And the house came on the market, and we knew that it was the right home for us. So we bought it in 2020, and we spent the first 3 years sort of dreaming and planning on what we wanted to do to the house. We did a little bit of a renovation to make it as aesthetically pleasing for us for the short term, knowing that we were going to do some work over time. And then about a year ago, we began renovations. We've been out of the house for a year, and we just came back a couple of weeks ago. So we're still just getting settled back in. So welcome to my living room. This living room is in the original part of the house. As I mentioned, we put an addition on recently, but we maintained the core of the home, which we believe was built in about 1925. So this is where we do the majority of our hanging out. We have a beautiful fireplace here, which we sort of updated during the renovation as well, put in some beautiful gas logs. all of the original brick. This room feels very coastal. There's a lot of texture. There's obviously a lot of vintage happening in here, all playing off of the white upholstery, which again, it's that combination of old and new, which I think really makes a room sing. So, you know, vintage coffee table, vintage side tables, a beautiful old farm table. Really loving the patina in here, especially against the white walls and the trim. I'm a collector of artwork. We love vintage oil paintings. As you can see over here, these are a couple of my favorites. I love a shabby old gold frame. Always pick them up when I see them. So yeah, it's just a really nice place to sort of display our collection of artwork. We have some pressed botanicals, which are another sort of decorative object that we collect. These are originals. These came from France. So I love how these hung together make a really strong statement. And the black frames, because every room has to have a little bit of black. The chick blinds, which are very special to me, and I knew I always wanted them. And when we came back to the house, I knew it was finally time to go for them. And I started in one room and I ended up buying them for the majority of the windows down here. I love how the light filters in, but there's still a beautiful textural element. And I just think they're really special and they really suit the room very well. I am a big fan of lighting. To me, lighting is definitely the jewelry in a home. I pay extra attention to lighting and hardware. Those are the types of things that I think make a room sing. So I had purchased these visual comfort milk glass pendants with an unlacquered brass, which I think are really, really spectacular in here. And I added one to the television room as well. So it's just really cozy. All of the furniture is washable. Obviously, I have a dog. This is my dog, Betty, and I have a 13-year-old son, so things get dirty, life gets dirty, and all of the slipcovers go in the wash with bleach, and I've always lived that way, and I find it actually quite easy to take care of. Block prints are something that we are known for at FIG. We sell beautiful pillows, table linens. All of these are hand blocked. I have a major passion for block prints. I use them and sprinkle them throughout the house wherever I can. There's a very sort of Provençal vibe I find from them. I love seeing them in houses in the south of France. So to me, they're very cozy and sweet, but yet they're also a little bit contemporary when you pair them against a stark white couch. So a little bit of pattern play in here with stripes and florals, because you kind of can't go wrong with stripes and florals, and together they're a perfect combination. Again, just more vintage gilt mirror here. This is a beautiful one that I love. It's very sizable and beveled glass, so this was definitely a keeper, and I knew I wanted it in a pride of place. Sisal rugs, 100% all the time. It's another one of those core things that I always love to have. To me, just the neutral color, the very nubby texture, it just gives a very relaxed and casual look to any space. They're very easy to take care of. They hide a multitude of sins. And on the coffee table, I like to keep my favorite magazines close at hand. Some coffee table books that we're always sort of, gravitating to. Some fresh florals and a candle always make a perfect statement on a coffee table. So I like to have it sort of set up this way most of the time. Yeah, and I sprinkle my coffee table books around the house. You'll see them everywhere. They're my emotional support coffee table books. My husband, of course, tells me I have too many. I'm a collector of them. I pull them out constantly, and they're a great source of inspiration for me. So I like to have them at arm's length. And this is Betty. This is our 4-year-old golden doodle, who is part of the family, and we love her very much, and she loves the house. And obviously she has claimed this corner of the sofa as hers. So over in this corner, again, sort of to follow up with that mix of old and new, which again is what I think is so important in a room. This is a funky old chair. This was my grandmother's. This is called a Kerber pretzel chair, and they were made in Pennsylvania, I believe in the very early 1900s. And I love the contemporary shape. It's an important chair in furniture history, so I love that it was hers. And when you mix it with, a 1940s floral oil painting, that's where that combination is just really magical. So this is a pretty little spot in this room. Now I'd like to take you on a tour of the newer section of the house, which we're very proud of, and we've been here about 3 weeks now, and it's a very massive transformation from what it was before. Where we're standing, this is the current scullery, we call it. This was actually the kitchen in the home until we renovated this past year. So this was the kitchen. There was a small island in here. There was perimeter cabinetry, floor to ceiling. It was small, but it was mighty. And as we added the new kitchen, which I'll take you into afterwards, we decided to keep what we could, to repurpose the room. We kept the appliances, and then now we have this lovely space that we can do overflow. If we're entertaining, we can set up as a buffet. I can do some flower arranging in here. When you want to just put your mess so nobody can see it, it goes into this space. This is where we have our morning coffee, baking supplies. I can house some of my transferware and vase collection. And we really didn't have to do terribly much. We refinished the floors, put in these beautiful panels, which I think really make the room. And we carried over the arch detail, which you'll see sprinkled throughout the house. So it really, I think, is a very special result. And I'm thrilled with the way that it turned out. And then from that, we were able to create this little bit of a gallery hallway, which I love. And this just has a couple of my favorite, these are actual prints. These are prints, not actual drawings, but I love a figural drawing. So we have a large scale male figural drawing here and a little bit of a contemporary black and white watercolor over here. But again, just keeping all of the original details of the house was so important to us. So we kept the beadboard wherever it was. We added it to continue that story from front to back of the house. The arches are repeated throughout. We unearthed some beautiful exposed brick from the back of the chimney. We ripped out the ceilings in this room, so we were able to keep the original beams and the original beadboard. So instead of covering it back up, the more we took down, the more we loved it. So you can see all of the holes where the old knob and tube lighting used to be, but we love the character that this room has and what we were able to keep. A couple of nice details to point out in here as well. Again, my affinity for block prints. We have a block printed jute rug on the floor here for a little bit of pattern, and some easy breezy cafe curtains just to keep, this is the driveway side of the house, so it keeps the light in, but yet it hides any of the uglies that may pop up from time to time, and it gives it that sort of nice filtered light. So I do collect transferware. I collect brown and white transferware, and I collect blue and white transferware. I collect ironstone bits and pieces, and this is a nice spot that I can sort of contain it and keep it, and when I know that I need to grab a vase, I know exactly where to come to, and also it's a place to be able to put things away, which is a real bonus to have. This is a wonderful little table that I picked up we were up on the North Fork of Long Island, which is a place that we love to go in a town called Southold. And I always find a lot of bits and pieces when we're out there. So this one came home with us on our last trip. So I was thrilled that it found a perfect little pride of place in the scullery. And then Betty has her special little vintage Danish transferware food bowls. So we can't forget about the dog. So she loves transferware too. So we have unfinished brass hardware throughout the house. And this is hardware that we kept from the original design when it was the kitchen. And you'll see that detail as consistent throughout the house. We kept everything on lacquered brass. And as we move into the new kitchen, which I'll show you in a minute, you'll see that we have continued that story here. It works really well back to the gold mirrors, to the black and white statement. And I think it's a really nice punch for a very clean, crisp, white setting to have those accents of brass and gold. My personal style is definitely classic. It's collected. I'm a firm believer in mixing vintage and modern. I have very few new pieces. I like to buy a new couch or a new chair, but really 99% of the stuff that you see is from antique shops, and I'm always on the hunt for the perfect vintage find. It's minimal, but it's not cold. I always love to have a background or a backdrop of neutrals, particularly white walls, white sofas, that type of thing, because I think it's the perfect canvas for all of the items that we've collected over time, things that we love, and that is really the jewelry in the house to me. So a very neutral backdrop with all of the wonderful things that we love peppered throughout. From here, I'm going to take you into the very newest part of the home, which we just recently completed. So this is brand new. So you're just transitioning from the old house into the new house. And in this new addition, we have a powder room, this pretty laundry room, and a lovely kitchen, eat-in kitchen. So actually, I'll point out to you, if I may, this beautiful powder room, which I like to say, if I had to live in one room in the house, it would be this powder room because I think it's absolutely charming. This is beautiful ceramic handmade sconce and pendant light. These are very special, and I think they really make the room, it gives it a lot of character and personality. This is an artist. Her name is Susan Habel. She's out of Texas, and I've always admired her work. And I just think that the statement of the black and white and gold in this little itty bitty powder room is really magical, and it works really well. Beautiful waterworks faucet here. This is in polished nickel. I'm all about mixing metals. I love the play of polished nickel with gold and brass because it's just a really nice juxtaposition, and I think it works really well in here. We have another chick blind, and it's just a lovely little powder room. And it smells like paint still, which I love. And we added beadboard here as well. Again, another spot where we wanted to continue to throw in character details from the original house. So I think this was very effective here. And so from here, you transition into the laundry room. And we have our washer and dryer behind this skirted butcher block counter, which is really great because it hides the mess. And it allows a lot of good laundry folding to happen up here. This is the first of many of this handmade, also ceramic handmade sconce in an aged brass finish. And these sconces are throughout the kitchen, which you'll see, and they are from Duval, the English kitchen cabinetry and fixture company. And I'm a big fan, and I knew I wanted to have them in this space, so I'm thrilled. Just a lovely little oil painting. This is of a house in a town called Seagert, which is a couple of towns away. And it's really a nod to the Jersey Shore when there were a lot of little capes and Dutch colonials before everything got very big and fancy. But it's just something that I've always thought was really lovely and charming, and it reminds me of the olden days in these parts of New Jersey. So what we wanted to do, I think, which we did effectively in the addition, was to create as seamless a transition as possible. And it really feels like this part of the house is as old as the original, in my opinion. Again, these are Duval cute little drop pendant lights instead of recessed lighting. The beams that we were able to age with, my contractors were incredible, just beating them up with hammers and some saws and that type of thing to give it some really nice texture and age. And then running the beadboard from floor to ceiling, wrapping the ceiling, really makes it feel like it's always been here. And again, we repeated the arch details. So you'd have to really know that this is brand new because it feels very, very consistent with the rest of the house. Again, just more of our lovely gold mirrors, some unlacquered brass hooks. This is where backpacks and sun hats and baseball hats, my son is a baseball player, so all of his stuff is usually hanging on these hooks. Of course, I cleaned it up for today, but this is a very well-used space. And it also is one of the exits to the home. There is we have a pair of these in the addition. I love the inclusion of this Dutch door, of which we have a couple. And to me, they're just really lovely, and it allows great ventilation, and it's just nice when you want to get some fresh air in, but you don't want to commit to having the whole door open. And they're just lovely to look at, let's be honest, and beautiful brass hardware. So these make me very happy. Lovely little coat closet. I'm really happy that we added this punched detail, very English. And again, it provides some nice ventilation, and you'll see that detail throughout the house as well. So yeah, just continuing along with all of the brass hardware. And I think now we can probably go ahead and walk into the kitchen, which is right beyond this arched doorway. I would call the house, it's definitely a cottage. It's a nice, chunky American coastal cottage. It was probably built as a summer house. So it retains that classic American cottage style. And we wanted to make sure that we really protected that through the course of our work and renovations. For instance, it's very inspired or similar to, I would say, we're very inspired by big, cool summer cottages of New England. We love the East End of Long Island. Shelter Island is a very favorite place of ours. So it's very reminiscent of those types of homes that you would find in these places. East Hampton, Sag Harbor, just that beefy, cool American summer cottage. It just draws you in from the minute you step onto the front porch. It's just very welcoming, and you know that there's, good times are inside. Welcome to my kitchen. We are thrilled with the way this turned out. We spent many years planning this renovation and this kitchen, and it is exactly what we had dreamt of, and I'm thrilled with it. And this is a very English-inspired kitchen. We have shaker cabinetry. We have beautiful paneled appliances, so it helps with that really seamless sort of built-in, almost furniture-esque style of the cabinetry, again with the unlacquered brass hardware, which we think gives a lot of warmth and it will patina over time. I'm a marble girl. We have a honed Carrara marble, which to me, the more dings and scratches and stains, the better. You have to really embrace that if you're gonna go with a marble kitchen. But this is our third kitchen that we've done with marble, and I wouldn't have it any other way. There's just so much warmth and age and soul in these stone countertops, and I think they're absolutely beautiful in this space, so I'm thrilled that we did it again. And I wanted to make the cabinetry in some spots feel a little bit like a piece of furniture, so sort of a dresser treatment to the kitchen cabinets here. And also, so far as furniture style, we opted for a table interpretation for the kitchen island. So I love that there is negative space underneath, and it's not just a big chunky block of cabinetry. It feels very much like an old work table, and we have so much extra cabinet space because the kitchen is quite sizable that we were able to give up that storage and go for this version, which I'm thrilled about. This is a Gaselier light fixture. This is unlacquered brass, also with handmade porcelain ruffled sconces. I love the ruffle scallop shape, and we've created quite a few moments for that throughout the house, which you will see. And just a simple chimney style range hood. I wanted something as simple as possible, and I think that we accomplished that here. For the kitchen island, I knew that I wanted something that had a high back, that was comfortable, because this is a main place for us to sit and take our meals. And these are a bamboo counter chair. To me, these are not the ones that you see all the time. They're an actual bamboo. They're sizable. They're an armchair. They're very special. They don't make these anymore. I grabbed these about 3 years ago, when I knew we were doing the kitchen, and I scored them I think I got them from First Dibs, and I've hid them ever since, and I was so thrilled that everything came together and that they really worked out well. I love the look. It's a little bit French, and it just makes me happy that sort of the dark brown of the bamboo with the marble, with the brass, to me is a perfect combination. And as I mentioned in the laundry room, this is another run of these Duval sconces, which are very, very special to me. They're handmade, and they just give off the most beautiful filtered light in the evening, and I'm thrilled with them. And I also, from Duval, went ahead and bought their beautiful aged brass. This is their finish. It's the Duval aged brass. And I love this faucet here. It has a very vintage feel, and it goes perfectly with the rest of the hardware in the house. And then this is just a good spot for me to keep my cutting boards and a couple of my favorite cookbooks that I go to all of the time. I'm always a fan of having a little lamp in the kitchen. So that one with the simple little block print is a pretty little corner that illuminates in the evening, and I love that. Another sisal in the kitchen, because you can't have too many sisal rugs, but always a sisal runner in front of the sink is a good idea. And when we were designing the space and the renovation for the family, we agreed that a formal dining room was not necessary, and it wasn't terribly appropriate to the house. We decided to skip the formal dining room in lieu of a nice, bright, open eating area within the kitchen. It's very comfortable. We have settee type furniture. We have a couple of love seats on the end just for lounging. So people automatically gravitate to this end. It has a beautiful view of the pool and the garden and the yard. And it's just a really, really comfortable, pretty, cozy spot that balances out the harder, cooler textures and finishes in the kitchen. So it's a really warm spot, a pretty contrast with the rest of the solid surfaces in here. So I'm thrilled the way this turned out. I'm always a collector of antique light fixtures. This beautiful chandelier has traveled around with me for a very long time, and I think she found a rightful place over this dining room table. This is a handmade, made of reclaimed wood, but handmade for us, 8-foot table that I purchased from a gal also out in Southold, New York, up on the North Fork. And actually she made this bench as well. So shout out White Flower Farmhouse. Chick blinds in here to complete the look, and a pair of special oil paintings. This one actually was given to me this past Christmas from my mother, who knows that I love little vintage florals, particularly oils, and it has a perfect spot there, and it's very similar to one I'd picked up in the past. So I thought they were a great pair to display here in the kitchen and in the dining area. I am originally from New York City. I was born and raised there, and I was in retail, corporate retail, for many years. That's where the bulk of my work life has taken place. I was in the fashion world. I worked for brands like J. Crew and Kate Spade as a buyer, merchandiser, that type of thing. And then when we were ready to start our family, and I was pregnant with my son, we moved down here to the Jersey Shore. So it's been just about 13 years that we've been here permanently. I grew up coming down here. My grandmother lived close by, so I spent every weekend in summer coming down to the Jersey Shore. My parents wanted me out of the city. So I've always had a fondness for this area, and we're just so happy that we're calling it home now, because we really love it. It's truly special. We have a beautiful river, which is just, 300 feet down the street, the Manasquan River, which is just spectacular, and the ocean is a quarter of a mile away, and it's a very special place, and it's a great place to raise a family. It's such a beautiful day. I think that we should take a little walk outside so I can show you our beautiful patio and pool area and how this new space transition and gives us that wonderful indoor-outdoor feeling. So we're going to go out through another Dutch door, which is here off the kitchen. As you can see, again, these are wonderful that you can just open top or bottom, but in this case, let's open both pieces and we'll head on out. Right off the kitchen is our brand new patio. We also built a garage, which is still slightly under construction, but we love this bluestone patio that this is new for us. We had a pea gravel patio in the past, but putting this really substantial, beautiful stone down has given us a whole new area to dine, to entertain, to relax. So we have some beautiful wicker furniture, a great market umbrella for the shade, lots of new landscaping, a pretty sort of Belgian block pathway, and over time, this landscape is really going to develop into something quite beautiful, and we're thrilled to have it. And then we have a walkway here which goes to both the laundry room on one side and a pathway to the pool on the other side. And it's a beautiful day today, and the pool looks very inviting, so perhaps we should take a walk this way. So we built this pool in 2020 when we first moved into the house. It was the first thing we tackled. We figured, let's get the hard stuff done and then we'll dream about the inside. So it's a beautiful farm style pool. Some people refer to it as a Hampton style pool. It's a saltwater pool with a beautiful dark bottom. So the water is always very crystal clear and inviting. And we just have a lovely little spot to dine with some pretty teak furniture, some chaise lounge chairs sprinkled around. It's very simple, but we truly enjoy having this space, and we use it constantly. It's a very well-loved area for us as a family. And from here, we can go back into the house and I can take you on a tour of the second floor. So let's go ahead and go upstairs and I can show you a couple of the bedrooms upstairs. We consolidated the majority of the work onto the first floor. We touched very little upstairs. We didn't add any additional bedrooms. We renovated one bathroom, which I'll show you. So all of this is very original to the house, and it's the perfect setup for our family of 3. So come on with me. I am an old house junkie. My husband and I are old house fanatics. He actually grew up in a Victorian hotel in the Caribbean. I grew up in a brownstone, which was, mid 1800s. And we've always had a house or lived in a house that had some age to it. This house, we believe, the tax records don't go terribly far back, sadly, but based on, I've gotten to know one of the former owners and we're able to date it at about approximately 1920, 1925. So the house has beautiful, beautiful bones. That was the main reason that we bought it. It's so full of charm and character, and it's so warm, it's so open. There's tons of natural light. It's just a really warm, charming, happy house, and it made it very, very easy to settle into and decorate because it's just a dynamite little house. Where it's small on square footage, it's just incredibly big on charm, and we love it. Now we're upstairs on the second floor, which houses 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. And there are a couple of details that I wanted to point out before we visit the couple of bedrooms. Just some beautiful light details that have gone up recently. And again, just a continuation of the exposed brick, which is just really special. And when it's painted in this nice semi-gloss paint, it really stands out. The character is just beautiful, and it gives it such an interesting texture. And let's go have a look at the primary bedroom. Very restful. This is a very simple room. We always want our bedroom to just feel like a place of peace. It's very crisp, it's very cool, it's calm. There's not a lot of furniture, not a lot of color and pattern, just some vintage linens. This is a vintage shabby chic duvet cover, which I've had for probably 25 years, which I love. And we'll change out the bedding and throw pillows throughout the year, but it pretty much stays like this. This is something that we did add during the renovation. Again, the punch detail in the closet doors helps for ventilation, and it also looks very pretty. So I'm glad that we added this here. This gave us some extra storage that we needed because the house is very small on storage, and Betty loves it up here too, as you can see. In the primary, we have this little blue dresser, which has come with us for many, many years. I picked this up, I believe I picked this up at Brimfield in Massachusetts, the antique fair. And just simple white mirrors are something that I love, following along that very white, crisp, fresh bedroom feeling. I always grab pretty frames when I see them. You kind of can't have too many mirrors. It's not a vanity thing at all. I just love the way the light bounces around the room when you have lots of mirrors. As you probably know, it's a great trick. A pretty pair of French-inspired night tables. Actually, they're a mismatched pair, we'll call them, but very French with their detailing, and a beautiful pair of marble lamps. I also collect marble lamps, and when you can find a pair, it's quite remarkable. So always grab them when you can. And again, just a simple, very neutral block print shade on the lamps to continue that sort of block print thread that is moving throughout the house. And yeah, just some pretty French doors that move into the primary bath and sort of a dressing room area, so it gives us a little bit of separation, which is quite nice. And wall-to-wall sisal for the floor here in the primary suite, which is really nice to have underfoot, and I love that we pushed it pretty much to the outer edge in this space. Collection, another piece in the collection of slip-covered furniture. This is a vintage little French bench with a linen slipcover that has traveled with us throughout the years. Usually a good spot to put your folded laundry or clothes for the next day, but it's just a pretty little moment under the window, and a good place to sit. This room doesn't fit too much in the way of larger scale furniture, so having a little petite bench like this is a great item to have to kind of move around in spaces that are a little bit tight on space. So we love having this in the bedroom for a variety of uses. We love to host friends. We have a very small family, so we don't get a lot of big family get-togethers, but we love to have all of my son's friends are here all the time. We have a really nice group of friends, and we love to have people pop by. We put in a beautiful, the first year that we bought the house, right after we bought the house, we knew that we wanted to put in a pool. So we knew that the house was going to be worked on over time, but we wanted to get this pool in. So we put this spectacular pool in, did all of the landscaping, and then we love to have people come over and swim, and we entertain by the pool, and it's a really, really nice sort of indoor-outdoor entertaining scenario in this house, which is very special to us because we love the way that, from the kitchen, everything flows into the patio, that flows into the pool and the beautiful porch. So it's a fantastic house for entertaining. Let's go from here. I just wanted to show you my son's bedroom and his bathroom, which he likes to call it, which we were able to renovate as part of our project. Welcome to my son's room. I have a 13-year-old son, and this is where he loves to sort of get away from any noisiness in the house, and this is his little peace and quiet zone. A very cool sort of farmhouse-inspired vintage brass bed in aged brass, which is super cozy and perfect for a 13-year-old boy. This is a drawing that my son did in school that to me was very much reminiscent of a Hugo Guinness sketch. So this is a pride of place here. And then this is just a fun little vintage wolf and little lamb print that we picked up for him on one of our antiquing trips, and his honor roll spot, which is very exciting for us. And this is a pair of nautical maps that my husband and I purchased when we first got married. We lived on Cape Cod for a very short amount of time, and we lived in a town called Cottages, which was really teeny tiny. And we bought these nautical charts of Martha's Vineyard to Block Island, and we kind of flagged where our little house was, and we had these cut up into two when my son was born, and they were hanging in his nursery, and they've been with us ever since. So it's just a little special sort of nod to where we lived in the past, and they're quite pretty, and the colors are lovely. A little vintage chest of drawers that we picked up that used to be his changing table when he was a little itty-bitty baby. A vintage bookcase, a simple glass lamp that, I don't know, this just feels very cool and kind of coastal and sweet, and a pretty reclaimed mirror for his room, and that finishes it off. And it's just a nice boy's room, very simple, comfortable, and a nice spot for him, which he loves. So let's go into our guest bedroom, which I'll show you because I think that you will enjoy the pattern play in this space. This is just a little guest room that we have. I wanted to sort of drench this room in pattern. So this is Lei and Yen out of Hudson, New York, bedding and curtains. And I love the cozy vibe that this sets in this room. And it's just like a cocoon when you close the curtains at night. It's just a very restful place. A pretty vintage bed that I got when I graduated from college in my first apartment. A massive television, but it's nice to lay in bed and watch TV. And a very cute old vintage chest of drawers that we bought when we lived on Cape Cod. And a nice pair of botanicals. I think the scale and the black frames in this space work really well because they stand out. And to have a pair flanking the windows is very special. And some vintage linens, pretty vintage pillowcases. A lovely armoire that came to us from when we lived in Massachusetts. We bought this on Charles Street in Boston and has been with us ever since. Great for storage, again, for an itty-bitty house that doesn't have too much storage. And a nice vintage chandelier to hang over the bed, I think is a really special thing. It's a really nice focal point in this room. And even if the room is small, it's nice to have a low fixture because nobody's going to bang their head because there's a bed under it. So it's quite practical too. And a pretty antique chair that was bought in Frenchtown. A really pretty antique chair with original paint. A very pretty pink and green floral. That's a special little chair. So it always manages to find a little spot. And I think it's found its permanent spot in this space. So a pretty little bedroom for guests. This is the second story bathroom that we did tackle during our renovation. It was in pretty rough shape, and we knew since we were working in the house, we wanted to go ahead and get this done. So you open up this pretty barn door. Actually, it looks quite pretty when it's closed. So there's pretty privacy glass. You swing through the barn door and you come into this charming little bathroom. We added a bathtub. We oriented the shower and bath in front of the window, which opened up the space incredibly. It had a stall shower before. This is the little vintage medicine chest that came from a little cottage that we actually recently purchased about 1.5 years ago that is right next door to us, which you'll have to come back and see one day. It's a little 1930s kit cottage, a kit house, and this came from the bathroom there. Again, we did floor to ceiling beadboard in this bathroom, which gives it a lot of charm and character. We added another Duval sconce up here, a little itty bitty vanity with some pretty polished nickel fixtures, which I think just really works well in here. And then some pretty unlacquered brass hooks for towels and for robes. And a lovely little nautical oil painting, which is on the list of things that Hillary collects. So I think that the color story in here is quite pretty. And it's a very successful little bathroom with the pretty waterworks fixtures in here as well. And not to be neglected, we had to add a block print in here too. So a pretty scalloped edge block print shower curtain, which I think kind of ties it all together and dresses it up just a little bit. Home means a place that is peaceful and calm and serene and a haven from the outside world, a place that you can retreat to, that all of the people and things that you love are all in one place. And it's really just kind of a slice, a little slice of heaven and a haven from the outside world, and just where you walk in and you instantly feel calm and comfortable and cool in the summer and warm in the winter, and it just envelops you and gives you a sense of calm. Thank you for coming today, Homeworthy. It was so fun to show you around my house, but it's time for you to go now. Bye.
Hi, Homeworthy.
I'm Molly Young.
And I'm Jess Bowers.
Welcome to my home in Nantucket.
Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Molly Young.
And I'm Jess Bowers, and we are the co-founders of BY Interiors.
And we are here at my home in Nantucket, Massachusetts. My husband and I started coming here when we were dating. I had come as a child with my family, but I kind of brought him up here to see the island, and we just loved it. We knew we wanted to get married up here. And when we decided to have our wedding up here, my parents rented a house for the week as sort of the home base for the wedding. And they rented this house, and it was just totally random. We had a welcome party that my brother and his wife threw for us. We had family and friends come and, kind of hang out during the day before the wedding. All my girlfriends got ready here. And fast forward, my husband and I ended up buying a house down the street. We had 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids, and a dog, and we were bursting at the seams and looking for something new, and this house came on the market. And so 10 years later, we bought this house, and it was kind of meant to be. We knew the owners by then. We were this is the only house for us. And so it was the most perfect serendipitous sort of thing to have this house fall back into our hands after having it be the center of our wedding over 10 years ago. So it's been really fun to make it our own, and we loved, some of the things you'll see about the house. There's some really unique pieces of the house. It's got enough space to house all of my crazy kids and guests and stuff. And so we also just love being so close to town. We can walk in for coffee in the morning. We can ride our bikes to dinner at night. It's just far enough outside of town that we're not competing with traffic, but it is the perfect little gathering spot for after a long day at the beach, or just to cozy up in the off season. It has kind of everything that we that we were looking for. So this is the den where I would say my kids spend 90% of their time if they're not on the beach. So I wanted to make this space cozy. I wanted it to be a comfortable hangout space, but also super practical because they're also normally sitting on here in wet bathing suits. So I wanted to bring in a lot of color. I wanted to make it fun and playful, but performance fabric was the name of the game for getting a nice big comfy couch that my 4 kids can sit on and usually about 10 more friends. So at any given point in time, there's like 15 kids sitting on this couch, all grouped around watching some summer movie or doing something, kids want to do in the summer, friendship bracelets, all the fun little crafts and stuff in here. And I wanted to also make this room feel comfortable enough in the winter when it's chilly here and it's windy and it's gray, but bright and fun enough for the summer months too. And so really pulling in this kind of fun sort of periwinkle blue it felt just really right in the space, maybe hydrangea color, kind of like Nantucket itself. So this was really a big moment of like fun color in the house.
This rug is like one of our favorites. Molly and I both saw this rug through our rep. It is custom, it's available in any color, and I think when we both saw this, we both really fell in love with it, and it had to go somewhere.
And it felt like it popped really perfectly off of the white painted floors. And so this room used to kind of be a white box, and I wanted it to be a little more of a moment than what it was before. And again, I couldn't have anything be too nice or too precious or too delicate. And so, I mean, half the time my kids are jumping off this table using that as their landing pad, but I wanted something that would be durable, that would give a nice cozy thing for everyone who's rolling around on it and stuff, but also be a nice spot for them to kind of crash at the end of the day without feeling like I had to be watching over them with every step they took. And we also covered the walls in this vinyl T-bow wallpaper that gives the impression of the room being wood paneled, which I think adds to that kind of cozy den feeling. Again, just as cozy in, October, November, December as it is in the summer when we want it to be a little brighter and more fun.
And it's such a nice juxtaposition to coming off of the entry, because it is the first room you see when you come in the formal entry for the house. So it was really nice that it accomplished that, but also it's like visually, it's a really nice breakup for a lot of the white that's going on when you first walk in.
And one of my favorite little things that I made sure to get in the house, my husband loves to scallop and do anything fishing and all those sorts of things. And our friend Charlie Clark is a photographer, and he does lots of cool things. And he caught this picture of my husband scalloping on his birthday one October when they were diving off, getting all their bounty for an awesome scallop dinner. So made sure to include that because it's his favorite thing to do when we're up here. So throughout the house there are plantation shutters, which as Jess and I, when we normally decorate, we include fabric, window treatments. We love the coziness that a fabric window treatment, a Roman shade, a cafe curtain, or curtain panels will lend to a room. But this whole house had plantation shutters, and I couldn't bear to take them off. And they just felt so beachy, and they felt so right for the space. And so on a nice, beautiful summer day, we have them wide open. It's like kind of just this really bright and airy sort of feel. In the winter, they might be closed more. They might give us a little more privacy. But they really kind of frame the whole room nicely, especially when they pop off the wallpaper. It kind of still feels like its own window treatment, even though they're wooden shutters. These two little pieces of art, my husband and I love this little art fair in Bedford, New York. They do it every winter. And it's a combination of like local artists and photographers and some crafts and stuff. And we always pick up a few pieces. And these are actually not seascapes of Nantucket. They're of Westport, Massachusetts, and they just kind of felt like the right little thing to put in the corner. But we always pick up a few pieces because they're just so charming, and there's always a nice spot to fill another space on the wall. And those are the right kinds of pieces of art to find, where you just see something, you love it. Maybe you don't have a spot for it right away, but you'll find a home. Yeah, you'll find a home for it. And so I think that's when we look for art, we're not like looking to be fancy collectors and buying these like crazy expensive pieces. We're just buying stuff that
I think if you love it, you'll find a home for it and it'll work.
Yeah, even if it like goes in your kid's room or a bathroom, like there's always a nice spot to fill. And so we always try to find a few pieces that we can adorn our walls with and just have a nice little spot to cozy up.
And we have a really little table setting here, just assuming that your kids are having their morning juice here and everything. The vase is antique from Antiques and Artisan, which is like our absolute favorite place in Stamford, Connecticut. You have to go. It is literally
it's a treasure trove. Yeah. It's a treasure trove of styling items, antique items, handcrafted items.
Incredible.
Yeah. You can get lost in there.
It's so fun. You can walk through and you see Bunny Williams will have tagged these items that she's taking for clients, and it's an incredible place. So you'll see little items throughout the house that are sourced from there, which maybe aren't truly sitting there when the kids are jumping off the coffee table, but
when it's their lunch pad. But
they're not here, so they're there for now.
Exactly. It's okay. They're safe for now. So why don't we come into our entryway now, which, funny enough, we don't always use the front door of the house because when my kids have their sandy feet, we come in through the side entry. So I like to keep this a little more for guests and formal time. But the painted floors we had done by our friend and our amazing artist, Shelley Denning. She came up here. I had seen a pattern similar to this that she had done in another home a few years ago, and I had been waiting for the right place to use it. And funny enough, a lot of clients are skeptical about letting us paint their floors, but
we're getting more and more.
Yeah, every time we do it, somebody says, I am so happy we did this. And so we painted the floors with this sort of like beachy, fresh, fun pattern, colors to kind of just make this feel like a truly different space than the den and a truly different space than the dining room, which you'll see in a second. But this is my little desk area where in the summer I try not to do too much work, but there's always, we call them design emergencies. Somebody's always got something where you can find me kind of hanging here with my laptop doing a few things, but I try not to do too much when we're up here with family and stuff. My cute little key holder, I guess. This is actually my grandfather's, and he used it to hold all of his boat keys. None of them are boat keys anymore. My husband is quick to point out, but they're different keys from different spots in our house that we never lock our doors here. Yikes. But they just kind of live here. And keys from our old house. There are some like antique keys that we found over the years, but I just love kind of keeping this little thing here for just a little nod to my grandparents who were big boaters and loved nothing more than fun nautical summertime adventures.
Mary Maguire is like one of our absolute favorites.
Yeah.
And this framed me. This is one of my favorite pieces in Molly's house.
If you ever have a chance to catch Mary Maguire's art at Brimfield, or she has a great website with a ton of awesome offerings. They are just a nice way to add some fun character to your space. We love styling with them. We love using them. We have a lot of awesome projects in Cape Cod or throughout New England, and they just sort of scream.
They're fun, they're funky, they're folky, and I think they really work in absolutely every space. She does some that are like Indian themed, and she has alligators, and whether you're in Florida or here, they always work. They're really fun.
You kind of can't go wrong.
We love her.
She's got some great stuff.
Yes.
This fun little whale, every year around Christmas, they have the Christmas stroll, where it's a big kind of fun festival tourist weekend, but it's also a great chance for an opportunity to get like crafts and locally made art. And we got this probably 10 or 12 years ago at one of the stalls at like the Christmas stroll market, and it lived in our old house up on the ceiling, and I think my son thought it was pretty scary, but now as he's gotten older, I think he can appreciate that it's just kind of a cute whale, and it's a nice nod to like not just like local Nantucket artisans, but also Nantucket's history as kind of a whaling mecca, a whaling port. And there are all sorts of different variations of local art we've bought from the island or like hand carved things, but this little whale just felt like he belonged right kind of when we walk into the house, and he's not so scary anymore, I think. When you walk in, there's this center hall that's kind of like the epicenter of the house. The kids are always running through it. It's like this wide, welcoming sort of entryway, and right off the entry is this little sitting room that we're in, that's kind of our second family room. With 4 kids and like a house full of guests, we always need 2 places to kind of congregate. As you walk through the house, the dining room, which is kind of its own little entity, its own little world, is right off the entry. And then the back of the house is the kitchen, the other family room, and it kind of opens very naturally to the outside. Upstairs, there are 4 bedrooms. And while we gave our kids the choice of like, which bedroom do you want when we moved in, all of my kids sleep in the bunk room because they all want to have, the top bunk is theirs, and it's kind of this nice little kid-centric spot. And so it's really nice to have sort of the front of the house for the kids, the back of the house for more entertaining, and it's a really natural flow to the outside. So it's really kind of perfect in the summer when doors are open and kids are running in with sandy feet and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of started doing some things, and then I said, Jess, why am I doing this by myself? We need to be doing this as a team. And also, it's really hard to do your own home sometimes.
It's very hard to make decisions. Like, it is so easy with somebody else's house to kind of like get in there and make something, I think, just a little quicker because you're not less personally attached to it, but you just don't overthink it in a way that I think you do when you're the one permanently stuck with it. And that's true with clients too.
We see that all the time. I always liken it to like a wedding dress. People really hem and haw over decisions because they're like, well, there might be something else out there that I love more. Yeah. And I want you to love everything in your house, and I want to love everything in my house, but sometimes I need Jess to kind of take a step back and be like, this looks really nice. You don't need to agonize over every single fabric or pillow or throw blanket, even though we do agonize over those decisions too. But it's really helpful to have this sort of back and forth that we have, which is how we do it with clients and how we did it here. I would, we'd come up in the off season, I would FaceTime her. If she wasn't up here, we would bring all the samples back to the office. I would bring pieces of furniture back to Connecticut with me so that we could like
have the upholsterer or like measure it and do the chair and all that stuff. Yeah. And it's a new house. Like Molly just bought this recently, so I think this was a great excuse to get it done. But it was a little bit of like a race to the finish.
Well,
so
it also helps when you have a real goal in mind, and a lot of people, because they use these homes in Nantucket as summer homes, everyone wants it done by like Memorial Day, or they want it done for the summer. And so it's kind of nice to say like, okay, I know that we want to be able to entertain. So we want to make sure the dining room is ready for the season, or we want to make sure that we have a comfortable place to watch TV. And so like, it's nice to get this sort of like deadline in your head of saying like, Jess, we need to make some decisions. I could spend forever poring over fabrics and wallpapers and all the various components that go into the house, but some of it's practicality. I want to be able to use it when we're up here, and I don't want to have empty rooms. And part of it is, what makes sense to get in here quickly too.
Yeah, and I think, it's a beach house, it's being used. Molly has 4 kids, and I think this is probably general to our business as well, but it's not probably a place where everything has to be super precious and overthought. You want it to be comfortable. You don't want to wring someone's neck when they get sand on something. So I think that was kind of part of the thought process, like make it easy, make it look nice, make it comfortable.
Yeah. Kind of pick and choose where we want to use performance fabrics, pick and choose where we want something sort of a found antique piece versus something brand new that might not be quite as delicate. And there's a nice mix of all of those things in here. There's some things that are old that were my grandparents that I probably don't want the kids to touch. And then there are some things that are basically foolproof. Yes. And so there's a nice kind of blend of that. And Jess and I do a good job of sort of weighing those things. Like what can be the more precious kind of special moment, and what can be durable and smart. And at the end of the day, it is a beach house where kids are rolling around here in wet bathing suits, so it needs to be that too. And now we can make our way into the dining room, which is one of my favorite rooms in the house.
It's incredible, as you will see.
First and foremost, the ceiling is just really unique, even for a home in Nantucket. It is kind of an ode to a Nantucket whaling ship, and it's designed to look like the hull of the ship. So it's just this like really beautiful woodworking craftsmanship, and it's kind of perfect for a more formal, cozy dining space. We love to use this room for dinners with friends. We use it for holidays. In the summer, it's really more like a game table and a puzzle table. But in the off season, it is, my husband will go fishing or scalloping and get dinner to cook, and we'll host a dinner here, or we'll have Easter here. The wallpaper is Audrey Stirk Designs. She has this incredible collection of wallpapers that are all murals, and this one was just my absolute favorite. Audrey knows I pestered her a little bit because I really wanted to get this pear tree, and I wanted to get these beautiful pears. I just love the color yellow, and we were able to kind of pull the yellow and tie it in with some of the seat cushions. Jess was skeptical on the chairs at first.
Well, and we were joking. So, and Molly may have mentioned, but sometimes in Nantucket, a house comes at least partially furnished, just because it's so hard to get furniture around and over on island. And there was like 20 of these chairs in the house. So I think replacing them would have been sort of an unnecessary and very large project. So,
and they were good chairs. They have really beautiful woodworking. They're so charming and so great. But
to soften the space, which I think was the point, we had our upholsterer in Connecticut, who is
our favorite,
the love of our lives, make these like beautiful chair cushions and covers in one of our favorite fabrics that just really pulls from the yellow. And I think there's so many good colors to choose from in here, and
the wallpaper is so fun because it's obviously a mural, depicts like an early Nantucket scene, like sort of a pastoral scene. And so everywhere you look, there's something different to see. There's the ships, there's the boats. As you pan around, there's different animals. There's like a little bird down here. My kids love catching the ferry or Brant Point Lighthouse. And so there's so many fun little things that every time you see the wallpaper, or like every seat you're sitting in at the dining table, you see something different, or your eyes kind of focus on something. My kids love like catching a little view of the old St. Kitty Lighthouse in the corner. There's just like so many fun things to continually bring your eye to, or to see, and colors to pull from, as Jess was mentioning. Obviously, I said this a few times, but the house always felt like a ship or a boat or something. There's so many nods to like this nautical
whaler.
Yeah, like all of the kind of like very maritime sorts of things. And the prior owners had a giant fish hanging from the ceiling over here. And my husband loved it. He wanted something just as big and statement, but we didn't have a giant fish at our disposal. So what I did, though, have at my disposal was this wonderful little ship. So my father and my uncle and my grandfather were maritime lawyers, and they dealt with all sorts of ships and boats and all legal issues that arise from the ocean, I suppose. And I remembered that he had this model ship hanging in the basement in storage somewhere. Nobody had really taken it out. Nobody wanted to claim ownership of it. And so my husband and I brought it up here, dusted it off, got it in the house, and it kind of fit perfectly in the space. And after cleaning it off, we realized that it actually says Young America down there, which was a perfect little fit for our family. And so just like so many things in this house, it kind of felt like it was meant to be here and meant to live here and meant to live in this room. So it was just kind of the whole room kind of came together very organically. Like this wallpaper looks like it was always supposed to be here. The boat looks like it was always supposed to be here. And these chairs now have their own little, little outfits on. So we love that too. And as we move from the dining room, we kind of flow naturally into the kitchen, where the kitchen is obviously where we spend a ton of time. We love to entertain. We love to have family and friends up here. My kids are always asking for meals and snacks. Imagine that. But what I love about the kitchen and this whole back family room is the floors. The floors are these beautiful herringbone brick floors, which not only look really pretty, but they're really practical. So, you know, sandy feet, spills, all that kind of stuff. It could not be a better foundation for a beach house, right? We can do whatever we want to this floor, and we're pretty much not destroying it. When we come on back into here, again, this is more the adult hangout space, I would say, where the adults spend their time. We, you know, have a little TV hidden in some of the built-ins. We have a little breakfast nook in the back where my kids pretty much eat all of their meals if they're not eating outside. And it's just kind of full of things that, again, make me happy. You know, like I love the color yellow. I love probably more yellow than a beach house should maybe have in it. I love yellow, so I always try to incorporate it in anything I do. I have a whole room at home that's yellow because I love it so much. But I wanted everything in here to be, again, like durable. I wanted it to be fabric that my kids could really lay on and lounge on and all that kind of stuff without being something that I was, you know, upset that they would ruin or destroy or, you know, get too wrapped up about that.
I think just from an outside perspective, the floors, there's built-ins everywhere, there's shell detail. A lot of these things I think make the house feel much older than it truly is, which were beautifully done. And the paneling, there's really just so much detail in here that it's warm and cozy. And I think that was just really well executed by the builders. So
yeah, we always feel very lucky that we have so much storage in here, that we have so much kind of like so many little nooks and crannies, so much like natural character that just stayed with the home. Even though it feels, again, like Jess said, some of these like original details, nothing feels old. It doesn't feel like collecting dust sort of old. It feels
it feels like it was like just
very
beautifully built the way, you know, the way they used to build things. Maybe that isn't always quite the case anymore. So the attention to detail is just really, really incredible.
Yeah. I would say that this little breakfast nook where, again, my kids eat a bajillion meals a day. We love adding a breakfast banquette or a breakfast nook to pretty much any kitchen project. We have clients that say, can I fit something like this in my house? As evidenced by this tiny little one. Almost always yes. You can always get something really cute and fun. And I love adding a little eat-in area in any kitchen that we have because it's just a nice, you know, it's a nice way to start the day. It's a nice place to have a cup of coffee. It's a nice place to just have, I don't know, a proper seated meal. When so many of our meals here are, you know, sandwiches on the beach, this is a nice little opportunity for
place to start the day.
Yeah, them to sit down and
then
all
there's
that fun stuff.
two. Again, we talked about Mary McGuire. We love her. The one, the whale rider, I think is my like.
The Nantucket sleigh ride.
Yeah, it's so cute. So again, her artwork I think just like is so fitting for this house, but particularly this one is one of my favorites.
It fits so well off of the wainscoting too. The paneling, just kind of anything we hang on it really gives. Just I think there's like such a nice juxtaposition of it. As we were mentioning, and we can come over to here, the fireplace. I probably wouldn't have chosen like shell detailing and this like kind of fancy molding for here, but it works so nicely with the other woodworking. And this was kind of the perfect place to put this art that my aunt and uncle gave us for our wedding. It was our wedding gift. And so we always kind of struggled with where to display this in our home in Connecticut. It just like didn't feel like the right thing, but it kind of matches. It actually has almost
the little
the same
shell detail that matches, which is
very
cute.
Again, so much about this house feels like serendipity, feels like it was just meant to be. And so it's kind of like, I can't argue with that, right? The built-ins give us so much opportunity to store, you know, family photos and little knickknacks that, you know, we've collected or my kids have collected over the years. Nothing in here is like fancy, curated. It's all just family pictures. It's my kids, their cousins. It's, you know, my mother-in-law. It's all like happy, just things, again, that like we look at and we're like, oh yeah, I love that. It makes me so happy. Actually, this chair came with the house. This was something that I did not want to get rid of. And what I ended up doing is just recovering the seat. The seat was a little well loved, I would call it. But I would say 99% of the time when my dog is here, my sweet dog Rory, this is her chair too. So she loves just cozying up on anything I freshly reupholster. That's her spot. So that's kind of like her favorite little spot to sit in. And I think the brick helps keep this room nice and cool in the summer too. So I think that you can find her here most often.
We've done this a couple of times. We actually saw it somewhere and we're so taken aback by it. It is this Serena and Lily coffee table that is not meant necessarily to have a cushion, but we saw it done and thought it was so ingenious because I think Molly and myself, at least I personally love to put my feet up and get cozy when I'm watching TV. And there's something about a soft ottoman that just really lets you sink in and feel at home. And this is also one of our like favorite fabrics with the yellow.
And I was going to say, this backgammon board doesn't always live here because my kids use the pieces as cookies. But Jessica from 9 Fair Backgammon, she is local to us in Connecticut and local to us here, makes these really beautiful handmade backgammon boards.
And they're works of art and they can be customized. Obviously Molly's is.
Yeah. And so this...
great wedding gift. They're fantastic.
We absolutely love them. And it's kind of the right place to have a game and game nights and puzzles and all that type of stuff too. A lot of times when Jess and I are decorating a home, our own homes, our client's home, we repeat fabrics and we're not afraid to use something that we've used on the windows to use for pillows, or like you'll see we've used this as the ottoman cover and the pillows as well.
Just makes everything feel a little more cohesive.
Especially when it's open. So this family room is directly next to my kitchen banquette. And so repeating the fabrics that have been used as the chairs and the kitchen cushion as the leather chair fabric really helps to make the room not feel too busy or too overwhelmed. Especially this isn't a huge space and I don't want anything to compete, but there's repeating fabrics that are pulled in kind of thoughtful, intentional ways, and we do this all the time. We use this in rooms where there's an open floor plan layout. Yep. We do this in bedrooms. You'll see one of the bedrooms upstairs, I've repeated a fabric on pretty much everything. We just love being able to pull in something from one space to kind of tie it into another without, I don't think it feels boring. I don't think it feels like overdone.
And sometimes we'll pick like, one inspiration or jumping off point, like this Sister Parish fabric is one of my favorites. I know Molly obviously really loves it too. And just having it here and there, it's kind of along with this other one, it's really what is kind of like setting the theme for the room.
I also think with a color like yellow, and I know, again, I love yellow, but a color like yellow, a color like red, a little goes a long way. So kind of the base, if you took away some of these pillows, if you took away my ottoman here,
it's a blue and white.
And so just by putting in a few pillows with yellow in it, all of a sudden the room is yellow, blue, and white. And so we do this a lot with like a little pop of red or a little pop of something that people might not feel as comfortable using as like their base, a purple maybe.
Well, I think everybody, and I mean, we live in coastal Connecticut. We do a lot of Cape, Nantucket. I think a lot of people come to us and they're like, well, I love blue and white, but I don't want my whole house to be blue and white. And so I think you can have sort of a blue and white base even in every room. And as long as you're pulling in some like really fun prints and other colors, your house isn't gonna feel like blue and white threw up all over it, which I think is kind of important.
Yeah, and again, like being able to repeat fabrics, it helps kind of keep the story, keep the theme going. Jess always uses this line with clients. She's like, I want everything to feel like it's at the same party. So they don't have to match perfectly. Like the yellows in this Neme Sme fabric are not exactly the same yellows as in this Sister Parish fabric.
They sit well together.
And they feel like they're at the same party. And they help tie in the corner kitchen banquette with the rest of the room, so that everything looks like it's meant to live together, cohabitate nicely, I think.
Exactly.
So one of the things, and there wasn't a ton about this house that we wanted to change structurally or anything that we wanted to change the feel of it, but this room was really dark for whatever reason. I think some of it has to do with the paneled ceilings. There's
not a ton of recessed light.
Yeah. Three recessed lights in the whole family room. And this side of the room felt really dark. And the plantation shutters, even though they're wonderful for privacy or for blocking out too much light, they do tend to make things darker, especially on the side of the house. So adding some lanterns and adding a little light over the breakfast nook felt like just a no-brainer to get a little bit of warmth, a little bit of comfort. Jess and I love adding sconces in a lot of rooms. Sometimes people say, oh, can I do, just a table lamp? And table lamps have their place, and they are perfect we love sort of like that ambient lighting, but adding sconces is another like great way to cozy a place up, to again make it look like it's always been there.
It's also really nice to like bring your eye. Obviously artwork does this, but it's sort of bringing your eye up to a different focal point so that you're seeing some of the other details that are again not on, not at eye level necessarily.
Yeah.
It's kind of allowing your focus to move about the room and take everything in.
And I know that sconces aren't always possible in, you live in a rental or maybe the wiring isn't there, but I think it's something that's almost always worth the investment, is to install hardwired sconces, whether it's next to a bed, like as the nightstand sort of lights. You'll see I have a bunk room upstairs. I added a sconce in every single little bunk so that everyone has their own individual light. And so I think it's
a little jewel box detail.
Yeah, I think adding hardwired lighting is really something we are huge proponents of and we love doing.
And I will say now too, and that didn't really exist even when we first started, but there's companies like Pookie Lights and stuff that now do lights that are like battery charged. So even if you can't hardwire, I think it's worth it to put them up, and it just makes your home feel a little more custom.
Exactly. I feel like I've mentioned it a few times already, but my husband is like the ultimate hunter-gatherer forager. He loves when he's up here fishing in the fall. He loves scalloping seasons in the fall. And while he is collecting our dinner, the kids and I will hang out on the shore and collect scallop shells way out in Nantucket or Smith's Point. And I was joking with Jess that I don't allow them to get half shells. We really always have to look for the perfect whole shells.
It's hard with kids. Sometimes their idea of beauty is a little different.
Over the years, we've trained them. And so, no, I'm joking, but we try to collect sort of the perfect scallop shells, and it is such a Nantucket sort of pastime to scallop in the fall and have some awesome Nantucket-based scallop dinner afterwards. But the scalloping in the fall is one of my husband's favorite things about being up on island, and it's just such a different feel than the summer where your days are spent hanging at the beach, kind of beating traffic, this and that. October suddenly feels like warm days, very chilly nights, and like an awesome glass of red wine with your fresh scallop haul. So it is one of our favorite times to kind of come up and get to do some of the off-season stuff too. So we absolutely love that. Usually after a day at the beach, we come in from the side porch. As I mentioned, we don't use the front door all that much because it's a little more formal. That's like for guests who come on in. But so my kids come in the side porch, and again, this kind of acts as our mudroom because this is where they come in. First, they have to go into the outdoor shower, rinse off, get all the sand off of them, and then they come in through here. So this is like our family entrance, I would say.
One of my favorite little surprises in this house that I didn't know about, everything is beautifully paneled, so everything sort of blends in, and there's this like super sweet, cute, hidden powder room. And I think this came with the house, but I just thought it was so adorable. Somebody had fun and, make your own pottery.
Yeah, come out and play.
But it's just such a sweet moment, and this like amazing Lace Indians wallpaper that again is just an homage to Nantucket and the whaling and the boating.
We love to make a powder room like a jewel box, and this is not the glitzy glam jewel box. It's more of just like a little.
It's just such a cute little hidden, and again, you wouldn't even know it's here. I went nautical.
Yeah, I went very nautical. I mean, I know it's cliche to do too much nautical stuff in a beach house, but it felt like, again, the house has so many little nooks and crannies and things that are built in that it feels a little bit like a ship or a boat, especially the kitchen with sort of it's like galley style narrow kitchen. But since everything is paneled, it keeps everything so neat and tidy, and really does kind of feel like a boat in some ways.
Yeah.
Like the countertops are wood instead of like a stone, which feels so homey. And obviously that's not for everyone. They're not a butcher block either. They're like a real
It's like a real lacquered wood.
Yeah, so again, really feels like kind of the ship. All of the ceilings still have the paneling. Everything kind of has a place hidden behind the cabinetry, but it's the perfect sort of, it's not a huge kitchen, but it's not, I'm never wanting for more or more space, right? Everything has a place, everything has a little home, and everything is just within an arm's reach without being too crowded and cramped. So it's kind of a really perfect little beach house kitchen to get me all those little breakfasts, make those few big dinners, but really when we're entertaining, we love to entertain outside.
Like every story starts recently during COVID, we kind of were chatting. I knew Molly, our husbands knew each other. Obviously we both live in the same town. So we kind of were both like, yeah, we'd really like to do this. I used to do merchandising for J. Crew before having my first child. Molly worked at Goldman last, and we both kind of found ourselves looking for something to do. So we kind of just on a whim decided to do it. We had a great first client who just really trusted us to do her house, and it went great. And we've been very fortunate to be super busy ever since.
I think it has kind of grown from friends or people just looking for help to more, we have clients now that reach out to us from, quite frankly, across the country. We have people who we've never met before reaching out to us, which is, we are so fortunate.
That was a real like pinch yourself moment. They're like, oh, I loved your Instagram. And,
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Those kinds of things still like catch me off guard. I'm like, oh, I can't believe you found us or you were kind of drawn to us. But what really started as like, yeah, let's do this and let's see if, people will trust us to make decisions in their home, has turned into like just something that we probably couldn't have imagined 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's full time. We've got really nice gals that work for us that are holding down the fort at home. So it's awesome.
Yeah, it really is kind of there are obviously some things that come with the territory. Furniture comes damaged or something comes in the wrong color or there are unforeseen circumstances, but most I would say like 95% of the time I'm like, I can't believe somebody pays me to do this.
It's great.
But it's fun to kind of push clients outside their comfort zone with decor decisions. It's fun to like see how I would do something versus how Jess would do something versus what the client was pictured. Like it's really so gratifying at the end of the day to see things come together, to see how people use the space. I love like catching little candid snapshots of our clients on like their own Instagrams, like just snapping their kids sitting on the couch. I'm like, ooh, we picked that couch and we knew that was how it was gonna be used. So it was like, it's really fun to see how these things translate to like everyone's everyday lives, I guess. Yeah. It's a fun perk of the job.
We've had some really good clients. We've really lucked out on that. And I think that's probably what has helped us grow is we've truly lucked out on some of the clients that we've had who've just really let us do what we want, which makes our lives
fun,
so much better, and I think it makes the finished product so much better. So we're very thankful.
Yeah.
Molly and I's ethos as designers, I think we love color, we love pattern. I think more than anything, I have 3 children, Molly has 4, we have 3 dogs between us. We want things to be comfortable. We don't want them to be too precious. I think almost every client that we have has children or has grandchildren. I think we've had maybe one client in our lives who is not concerned about how things wear. So I think it's balancing things similar to how we talked about Molly's house, things looking beautiful and crisp and bright and fun with being super practical and just lived in and loved.
Yeah, we really want to design rooms and homes that people are going to really live in, right? We're seeing this kind of shying away from super formal, even living rooms or super formal dining rooms. Like we still have some really unbelievable, formal spaces, but I think where we get a lot of requests are for, I want to be able to use this every day, but I want it to look really nice. And so that kind of combination of classic, fun, and I can look at this every day and sit on this every day and not get tired of it. So fresh and making sure that it's something that, it really follows the client's, their overall lifestyle. They have a lot of kids. We want it to be playful. If it's you know, a more formal space, like making sure that it's got that, you know, level of special that really shines at the holidays or something. But
And I think it's like using, you know, different periods and different styles. So like if, you know, a house is super traditional, making sure we throw in something that's a little more funky, a little more modern. I heard, you know, I don't know who said it, but I was recently watching the interview and a decorator was like, you never want to be the oldest thing in the room. I think that's super important to us. Like if everything's new, we need to find some really cool antiques just to kind of mix it up. And just make it feel like it was a little more organic than just like fully done in one fell swoop. Yeah. I think that's definitely our goal anyways.
we try to eat a lot of our meals out here in the summer. It's the perfect little spot for either a fancy little dinner entertaining friends, like a little lobster dinner night, or it's just as nice for our kids eating pizza or hot dogs and hamburgers out here too. And so this is like the perfect little oasis. We're right by town. I can like still hear all the fun stuff happening in town, but we're in our own little private spot, or after dinner we'll come out here with a glass of wine. It is like the nicest little space to have. We feel very lucky. You know, there's, especially as you get closer to town, a lot of the property sizes are very small. There's not a ton of outdoor space. This is like something that we feel very lucky to have, this little postage stamp sized backyard and terrace.
But perfectly done. It's really well manicured. I was saying, like, the flowers are incredible in person.
I am not a gardener. I am lucky to have inherited sort of these flowers.
The climbing roses, like it really, I don't even know if you can tell over video, but it is just so stunning out here.
It's a nice little quiet spot to kind of unwind after a long day, or even though none of the days here are all that hard, quite frankly, but or to start your day with like a coffee out here. It's just like the perfect little spot to host, to sit by yourself. There's never really a bad time out here. So we absolutely love just having this little spot. I would say that I love sitting out here reading a book, but that's really, with 4 kids, really not possible.
We have this set envisioning like having a really nice New England lobster dinner with some rosé.
Yeah, we actually, we enjoyed ourselves some fun stuff last night out here. So it does get its good use. But yeah, there's just enough yard for my kids to run around and play, but really the right amount of little patio for us to have.
And also like a really nice detail from the brick out here and inside, and there's this beautiful bluestone inlay. There's a lot of continuity, and it really gives a great feeling of some like indoor outdoor entertaining and flow.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it's all part of the same
purposeful
space.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty much all of the time we have this door open so that it's kind of this nice little in and out, feels like one big extension of the same room. Usually you can find my kids and my dog running around down here playing soccer in the grass or cornhole or something. And it's just the right amount of space to run around without being, you know, too much, because we want to have some nice little patio too. And so this is kind of our nice little spot to have a glass of wine. We all enjoyed some wine ourselves last night out here. A good little sort of place to unwind after the end of the day. We, you know, kind of always think about how we want to use this layout. Like, do I really want to have lounge chairs? Do I really want to have Adirondack chairs? Like, what do I want to use as this space? And having kind of multiple seating areas, actually, despite the fact that it's a small space,
it's really successful here.
Yeah, it like
everybody's got their own little spot.
Jess and I always talk about how actually adding furniture to a space, people always want to feel open and stuff like that, and we totally get that, but adding more stuff to a space gives it more utility. And if there was nothing over there, we would just be standing around, so it doesn't really make a ton of sense. But so,
and I think it can make a space feel larger too if done correctly.
Yeah, agreed.
Just because you're using every portion of it and living in it.
We feel super lucky that we have these awesome gardens and these pretty flowers that, quite frankly, I will just cut and put into vases. Our old house, we had a big, beautiful side porch and had a huge American flag. That was kind of just this, it like felt like summer to me. It felt like the little cottage that we had. We just loved it so much, and so we knew we needed to have the same thing out here. This is just our little shed. All of our beach stuff lives in there. All of our bikes live in there. All of our beach toys live in there. And as you can tell, all of the little houses are so close together here, but that's what it is, kind of living in town. And again, at the end of the night, Mike and I will come out here. We'll have a glass of wine. We'll kind of recap the day. And it's just like, it's so nice to, at the end of the long day, our kids are kind of sleeping inside. We feel like so lucky to have a little recap. Maybe the dog will join us too. And it's kind of like the most idyllic little setting to watch the sunset way out in the distance and hear all the little fun sounds from town. That's kind of our favorite way to end a day, I would say. But most nights you can actually find us grabbing our bikes and heading into town for dinner, which is the best perk about living just far enough outside of town that we can always go to one of our favorite restaurants. It's just a bike ride away, so we love that too. No beach house is really complete without an outdoor shower, especially after a long day at the beach. My kids are little sandy monsters, so we make everyone come to the outdoor shower. I think it's actually everyone's preferred shower of choice in the house anyway, but it's kind of the perfect natural place to desand and then come into the kitchen, where again, this is our de facto mudroom as well, so it's kind of a multi-purpose space, but it's, even through October, it's the best shower in the house for sure. The house was probably built, actually, I know the house was built in 1998, 1999, and there's actually...
Doesn't feel like it.
I know. There's a row of houses that all look the same from the outside, but they're structurally different. They're laid out differently on the inside. The house has only had, I think, 2 or 3 owners before us. We actually know the prior owners. The wife is a decorator, and she left us with a beautiful kind of really wonderful bones of the home, and they left us with nothing bad. It's not like when you move into a house and you like uncover all these bad things. We were like, how nicely kept was this? So we're very grateful to them. But the house does have a lot of natural sort of character in it, and you'll see as we go through, there's a really beautiful ceiling in the dining room that looks like it could be, it looks like it could be in an antique home, and there's really beautiful brick floor in the kitchen and family room. That
all the beautiful transoms. I actually didn't know. I had no idea. I thought it was an older house.
Yeah, it has a lot of
reads that way.
Very. It has a lot of really charming characteristics that feel very appropriate for Nantucket. They feel very purposeful. That they've been here forever, and. Our last house in Nantucket was a very old house, and what we've learned is that we love that style. I love like good old bones, but sometimes it's also a little practical. There's something that is a little more modern to keep it like...
Especially when you're not here.
Like air conditioning working and all those sorts of modern trappings of everyday lifestyle. So it's kind of a nice combination of... It feels very authentic. It doesn't feel like it was just plopped here, but it also has some nice. It feels comfortable on the inside, which is a huge thing. When, as Jess said, we're not here all the time, so to be able to just come on in and have the home be sort of its own living, breathing thing that is ready to go, and it doesn't take a ton of opening up or shutting down is really, really key too. Actually, one of the things I love to do in a home, new or old, that I think just automatically sort of imbues some character is painting floors. Like, I think that, it doesn't work everywhere, but a lot of, even if it's a powder room or a mud room or a bedroom upstairs, and obviously it translates so well to a beach house, but I love a painted floor.
We do it all the time in houses in Connecticut, in New Canaan, that are nowhere near the water, and it fits really well there too. Just as like such an added special thing that I do think it's maybe more something that's like, oh, someone was really thoughtful in this house and they like thought outside the box, and it's not, something that's super, I don't even say common, but it's fun. It's like an added little like, oh, this is so special, or
it's funny, something that Jess and this house does not reflect it, but we love window treatments, and I guess plantation shutters in their own way are a type of window treatment, but there is not a single curtain or Roman shade or anything in this house, but our clients would probably
It's like
laugh
our
at
number
us.
one. I know. If people are like, well, what can I do to make this room feel finished? It's always probably a bigger carpet. Your carpet's too small for the space, and you need window treatments.
Yeah, and I think window
then you can go from
treatments.
there.
I know people love to see the beautiful, trim around the windows, or they love letting the light in. And there are so many ways to do window treatments without bothering the way the light comes into the room. There's so many. Cafe curtains are a great way to add like a ton of character, but we love getting, especially if you're not going to do wallpaper, if you're in a rental or something and you can't put wallpaper in, you could still get something covering the windows or kind of adorning the windows so that you get some pattern, some softness
Just
on
makes
a
it
white
feel,
wall.
Yeah, so much cozier.
Yeah.
I think it's like, and I think in everything that we've said, carpets, painted floors, it's the layers that make things feel cozy and lived in. And I think in the end, that's probably what makes a room successful versus not successful.
Yeah.
Like if you even go to a show house, like the amount of stuff that they bring in to make it look lived in and layered is kind of, I think, what makes or breaks it.
Yeah, and again, this house is not the best example because it has plantation shutters everywhere, but I think that adding something to really layer your windows is going to give you that, that's like a really good first step. It's a daunting first step, but it's a really good first step. There are so many things we really love about the house. One is our history with it. It's like kind of frames our whole wedding week. It just has such like wonderful memories for us. The location, we are so close to town, like can pop in at a moment's notice, can take some of the kids while somebody's napping and hanging back here. It's so easy to just kind of get to right the heart of downtown without being right in the heart of downtown. It's so easy to get there. But I think the house in general, and it's hard maybe to get it from just a video, but the feel of the house. It feels so cozy and comfortable. Yeah, it feels homey, but it just feels very comfortable, and it feels really like summer to me. Like it feels like this is where everyone's running around in their bathing suits. Everyone's, coming in after a long day at the beach. It just feels so really what a beach house, summer house should feel like. And it's got a lot of like cozy hangout spaces. It's got a lot of like comfortable places for you to, sleep at night, and it has a lot of space to entertain. And it's not a huge house either.
Like the back patio is so cute, the landscaping's so cute. Like there really isn't a space that is not just super cozy and welcoming. And
yeah, and so it just really feels like, when we step off the ferry,
breathe.
Yeah, there's like this sigh of like, okay, we are away from like the everyday, and it is just you're really like transported to a different, like this is vacation, right? It feels like a place to come and relax and unwind, and like the most important decision is like, which beach do we go to today? It's really our, slow mornings, kind of feel of a place. So we just love it. So upstairs we have all of the bedrooms, but the most important bedroom is the bunk room. We wanted to have a space that was very kid-friendly and I could contain them, and just kind of felt like summer camp or something kind of fun for them to have their own little hangout, their own little bunk cabin space sort of thing. So I have 4 kids, but I wanted as much sleeping space as possible. So we were able to get a full-size bed down here. The rest are twins, but more than likely it's a, capacity for like 8 kids at any one time because everyone just kind of bunks up together. But we wanted to make it super charming with a nice little, little light for each kid to read at night, not to disrupt the siblings, a little
cute enough for water.
Yeah, waters and
books.
I'd love to have them read their books every night. This room also needed a ton of storage, so we have extra storage for all of their clothes and shoes and all that fun stuff.
We put cleats on for nautical.
Yeah,
kind of a nautical nod. Yep.
And I wanted to make it easy enough for even the littlest kids to get up the bunks with stairs and then just small ladders, not, big ones they were gonna break their necks jumping down off of. The hand-painted fish on the doors, these were actually original to the house. There used to be 2 sets of matching closets, both with hand-painted fish on them. And my son follows in his dad's footsteps and is a huge fisherman. So when he first saw the house, he said, "This is definitely my room, right, Mom? This is definitely the room I get." But we had to do away with one of the closets to make enough sleeping space, but we were able to maintain these ones, which were hand-painted by a local artist on island.
Wasn't there a cute story that she?
Yes, so when we had to get rid of the other closet, and I didn't want to just toss the doors. I thought maybe somebody could repurpose them or do something nice with them. So I just posted them on like the local Facebook group to see if anybody wanted them. And the artist who originally did them actually was like, "If nobody else takes them, I'll take them back. I did these like 25 years ago." So it was nice to make sure they found a good home. But they're very cute and very appropriate for my son, who just absolutely loves to fish. We covered the walls in a vinyl wallpaper, so it is, but we always say vinyl's a nice word for plastic, but it is very durable, wipeable. We love this big Trixie print. It's a Scalamander wallpaper originally, an Albert Hadley print.
It's one of our favorites. It comes in a couple of colors, and I feel like, especially in a beach house, it always feels right.
It does well. And
always.
Then the tennis rackets, I've collected a few of them over the years. But the original one is my dad's. My dad was a big tennis player, and we love tennis in this house. But this was actually my dad's original tennis racket from way back when they used wooden tennis rackets, and the rest of them I've just collected over the years, and they felt like the perfect place to get them on the walls in here. We decided to also, again, paint the floors in here. Again, felt like super beach housey, super, Americana vibes with the blue stripes on the rug popping off. The rug is a super durable indoor-outdoor.
I think it's also a poly.
Yep. So it's got, it's as durable as they come. And I really wanted to make this room, again, someplace that my kids could kind of use as their own. Nothing felt like they were going to break it or destroy it. And so I kept all the sheeting to like pretty minimal. I didn't want to go anything fussy. We wanted to have it, be super kid friendly with little quilts to pull over, but nothing fancy in terms of
also bunk beds. If anybody has them, knows how much of a pain in the butt they are to make.
Yeah.
So I think the quilts help hide.
The less sheeting, the better. Especially for my kids who don't make their beds. So
a pain in the butt.
It was pretty perfect for that. We love incorporating bamboo pieces into pretty much all of our projects, unless somebody has a super like modern style. Yep. I always think we find a place to get some little bamboo side table, a console, a mirror, and in this case a dresser, which was the perfect thing. We love these Kenyan home pieces. They're like some of our favorites.
But they don't really look like it. I think it's a very easy way to have something look like an antique that, especially in a dresser, you want to be practical and kids can get in and out of the drawers.
Society Social sells a ton of them as well, and we love them. Again, they go in probably at every project we do. These actually was an original book that I had from when I was little, and I brought all of them up here because we have so many bookshelves to fill and so many places to kind of store things and store books. Sweet little bunny from Nantucket Bookworks down the street. My kids love going in there. It's one of their favorite little stops in town that doesn't involve getting candy. Otherwise, that's Force 5 or Town Pool or Barnaby's. So those are their other favorites. And then we have a Vornado fan in every room because my husband is really big on summertime sleeping with airflow. And we love the sort of retro vintage ones. They're one in every room because our guests have to feel comfortable too.
So I know earlier we kind of discussed little ways of kind of making your house feel finished, polished, like home. And I think as decorators, a way that at least I really love doing it in Malate too, doing like a shade that doesn't necessarily come with the lamp. So it's another place to get some fabric in, and it just really elevates a room.
A lot of times clients will ask us, like, do we really need to get a shade, a pattern shade to go on the lamp? And 99% of the time we'll say, I think you're going to love it. And they end up doing. They end up really loving it. Or
at least like a nice pleated shade. But usually I think the biggest trick is if your lamp, for the most part, came with a shade, toss the shade.
Yeah.
Get a new one. It goes a really long way.
And now I'll take you over to the primary, which is just down the hall from the bunk room. So close enough that I can keep an eye on my kids, but it's its own little private space that feels super light, super bright, super airy. When we first moved into the house, just because the home felt a lot like a ship, the bed in here was actually built in. And so it was a queen size bed built into the floor and the wall. So very much reminiscent of a true ship with its kind of a fixed bed. And we are not proud to admit that our dog sleeps with us every night. So we knew we needed a bigger bed. And we also just wanted to kind of transform the master to make it look a little more like our own. And so we are lucky enough that on the second floor we have very high ceilings that aren't quite vaulted, but they're much higher than the first floor. We brought the Sister Parish wallpaper. We love Sister Parish. They have the most wonderful prints. They can do no wrong, exactly.
And I will say another favorite is just this Pinler stripe, as you will notice. Yeah. It's all over.
Well, this is another good example of repurposing fabrics in multiple places. I have this Lisa Fine print on the bed, and then also along the window seat pillows. We have the Pinler pinstripe as the headboard and bed fabric, and also the window seats and cushions. We love kind of repeating fabrics, especially in this room where there isn't a chance for window treatments and fabric on the windows themselves because of all the plantation shutters.
It softens it up.
It keeps things looking cohesive. It doesn't look too busy. So there's really only 3 or 4 patterns in the room, but it doesn't feel boring. And keeping it all kind of one color. We love to keep primary suites and masters feeling very serene, like a hotel, like you're gonna stay in a spa overnight sort of thing. So that's kind of the vibe we're always going for with a nice, relaxing space to come home to at the end of the day.
Like Mary.
Exactly. We also love getting flowers and produce and everything locally. Bartlett's Farm has a ton of stuff, and these ones are from Moore's End over on Pulpus Road. They just have the most beautiful, sort of wild-looking flowers. They have farm fresh eggs. At Christmas time, it's like the best place to stop in and get your Christmas tree. It's like a little winter wonderland. But something that's actually really fun about Nantucket is that there's a lot of awesome local corn and tomatoes, and Bartlett's has pick your own strawberries, and they just have no end to the amount of stuff you can get locally, that's locally grown, that's used in the restaurants. It's such a fun, sustainable island. They obviously care a lot about the locally grown and locally sourced items, and it's really fun to get to participate in that when you're here too.
I think what really makes a house a home is, I feel like we've probably touched on this a good amount before, but I think it's how you feel in the house. And again, it's just not being too perfect. It's the little things that have good memories. So, everyone really freaks out about a ding in their table, and I get that from a design standpoint, and maybe not a ding, but there's things that have happy memories in it, and you want to look back and be like, God, I lived my best years there, and I don't know.
Yeah, and I know it's, what makes a house a home. You always say, oh, my family, big, but I think that it's also creating a space that feels inviting to want to be there. And so part of having this home in particular is we wanted to be able to have family and friends up and kind of fill all the beds upstairs and sleep a million people upstairs and host dinner parties. And so I think it's really, at the end of the day, you want it to be someplace you come home to at the end of the night that you're
excited to come home to.
I feel so happy to be here.
We want, especially people are like, oh, with my master, everyone wants their bedroom to feel like a hotel room, but in the best way. You want to feel like you're at the nicest 5-star resort when you get in there and you're happy and you're not stressed. And I think in general, even though life is chaotic, your house should be a place that kind of just where you can really, take a breath and
I always say,
be proud of all that you have, I guess. Yeah.
I always say, when somebody will ask me about, oh, should we do this in the house, should we do that in the house? And I love using sort of my own experience. And I say I have this in my home and it makes me happy every time I look at it. And I love really being able to walk in this front door and be like, oh, this room makes me so happy. Like, I love how this rug looks. Like, there are things that just make me so happy. And so sometimes it's a collection of happy things that kind of come together. And I think it, doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but if it makes you feel happy every time you look at it, I'm like, it's great. That's what I want in my home.
Homeworthy, thank you so much for coming. We had such a blast. We were so looking forward to this. So thank you.
Before you guys go, take a quick look at the sign. All the houses in Nantucket have cute little sign names, kind of puns and quirky things, and ours references our family and our 4 kids, so it's a little something special. Have a great summer, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.